Freaks, Geeks, and today, once again, welcome to all of Kat's peeps, because I'm with Kat. The mic is so big it blocks my head. We were just talking about how big the mic was in one of our other live streams. It's ridiculous.
It actually looked 5 times as big as it is right now.
I think it's going to look just as big when you see it blown up. We're watching on a small screen right now. So guys, thanks so much for being with us. We're streaming live. We're really excited. And we're in person again, because we've only done that a handful of times towards like the end of our content like collaboration together.
I know, and I love doing it live.
Me too. I like it actually like even better than all of our other chats, but I actually have fun in all of our chats. And by the way, guys, stay tuned because I am in the middle of editing together a best of video that I'm going to basically upload separately, because it's like 20 minutes long already, and I still have more to pull, but it is really funny. I showed Kat.
Yes, it is hilarious.
It's like us laughing at like a lot of ridiculous stuff.
And the crazy thing was, as we're watching it, we were laughing again.
Yes. We were like crying at some parts,
Yes.
and it's like, how are we crying at stuff that we live through? I don't know. Like, we recorded it, and I've seen it, and I've edited it, and then I still laugh at it, but whatever. But today, we are celebrating officially our 1-year anniversary of content collaboration together. So our first video that we ever did dropped back in November of 2020. Nice. Basically, I believe it was November 8th. So I can't believe it's been over a year now.
I know, because starting out, we didn't plan on it being something that was going to go on a pretty regular basis.
I know. We were like, oh, we're just going to do a Halloween marathon and let's talk about it for our blogs. And then it just morphed into something much more. Well, you know what it was, is we discovered that we love to plan, and we love having a plan for like certain months, like a reading list and a movie list, and then we're just like, let's keep doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then we also discovered we like to talk about everything that we do and watch and eat and...
Yeah. So it kind of just grew from there. So our first chat, if you guys haven't seen it, I'm really proud of it because it took a lot of preparation time, but we covered so much. So the video is long. It's over 2 hours long. It's actually almost 2.5 hours. It's just under 2.5. And we talked about so much in the chat, though. Now we started to break up our videos into little sections when we have a month-long marathon. We're like, okay, let's talk about a few movies here and a few movies there. But back then, we were like, one big video. Let's just film it all. But we discussed, like, freaking 20 movies in that chat, it felt like.
Plus everything we had done extra that wasn't movie related.
Like books and what we baked and cooked. And so, yeah, what we wore, it was all in that one chat. Whereas now we would basically break it up if we could. And we do try to do that. But just to give you guys some numbers, you want me to tell them numbers?
Yes.
Yeah, because the numbers are pretty crazy. All right, so overall stats. So out of this year of content, and this includes marathons that stretch back to October 2020, because that was when our first marathon began, was in that month. And we dropped our video in November, but it talked about our October marathon. So throughout our marathons from October 2020 to October 2021, this is how many movies combined we watched. So a total of 210 unique individual movies watched between the two of us.
Wow.
That's insane.
That is insane.
Yeah, that's a lot of movies.
It is.
in a year's time. And 56 of those 210 movies we had in common, or we both watched. So that's 56 movies that we probably discussed at pretty decent depth and at length. So that's crazy. Yeah, it is amazing. Because sometimes when we have movies that aren't in common, we might mention a few sentences about it, but we don't do a deep dive into those movies per se, usually. Sometimes we did. Like in our holiday marathon, I think you went into the movies that I didn't watch, and you gave some good details and some good tidbits. But otherwise, usually we don't touch on those too much.
No, we'll put them in our ranking, or or unless there was something significant or bothered us or whatever the case may be that we felt like we needed to add or, discourage another person to watch.
Yeah, which we did a lot, actually. But I'm always, like, a fan of seeing things for yourself, so. And by the way, I will point out that a lot of those movies, most of them are horror movies. We did have one marathon that was not horror-related, and I'll get to that. So we did 7 marathons over the course of about a year, 2 Halloween marathons, a zombie movie marathon, a slasher movie marathon, a musical movie marathon. So that is where the non-horror comes in. That's basically our only non-horror marathon that we did all year long.
Oh, although for Christmas we did mix up
Like pure Christmas and horror Christmas.
Yes, I mean, I had a Christmas marathon, but part of my Christmas was horror movies, and then the other part was classic Christmas.
Yeah, I had a few classic ones too, but not as many as you. You had 12 and 12.
Yes, I did.
Yes, that was really awesome. We also had a holiday horror movie marathon, which basically, it sounds confusing. Holiday, it's not Christmas. The holiday movie marathon was a marathon about movies surrounding a holiday, and any holiday that wasn't Halloween or Christmas. So literally, like, St. Patty's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day,
Memorial Day,
Easter, which I made a big deal about. I did a lot of Easter stuff for that marathon. And then finally, we did a Christmas marathon for 2020, which was a lot of fun too. That was our second marathon together. So over the course of a year, we also had to deal with 2 hurricanes that interfered with our marathons, and lots of perseverance. It took a lot to get stuff done in spite of those, because the first hurricane knocked out my power and impacted my first Halloween marathon, and then our last flippin' hurricane, the most recent one, Ida, really threw a wrench in everything from like, the beginning of fall afterwards, but we still pushed through and were able to push out a lot of content.
And actually, I am pretty impressed with how well we did, considering all the content we had planned, and the fact that we were able to go shopping, because that was a big deal. Was Kelsi and I were actually going to go shopping together for Halloween stuff, and I was so looking forward to that. When all this Ida stuff happened, I mean, it basically closed both sides, South Shore and North Shore, and because we were out of electricity, we were out of, internet services, phone service, so we didn't really think we were going to get to do that.
Yeah, and luckily we did, though, because that was our first, vlog together.
Yes, and it was so much fun.
It was a special video, because we had a whole fun day planned, and it was just a great time.
It was.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So also, more stats about our overall, marathons. So we released 20 videos, if you count my Autumn Crow reading vlog, because Kat did some filming of videos and thoughts, and I included it into my video. So if you count that one, 20 videos all told, but it doesn't include the newest Halloween movie wrap-up videos that we're about to release. We just recorded one yesterday, so that would be 21 if I were to count that. But if you count this live stream, then it is 21, and then that Halloween video we did would be 22, and we have more planned besides that, so it'll be up to almost 25 by the end of the month.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive, if you ask me. So with this chat, we did 5 videos recorded in person together, and 3 of those were live streams, including this one. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've come so far from our very first video, considering we just thought we were going to do one video. And
not only that, you pointed out, I didn't even it didn't, I don't know, phase me, but I was recording in my kitchen to begin with, and now I'm recording in, as you like to say, my lair.
Yes, this is Kelsi's lair.
Yeah, that's her favorite, term for my room.
It is, it's wonderful. I mean, but if you really think about it, I mean, we really have evolved over this whole entire year. We've, changed some things, added some things, included vlogging for the first time, which I and love. Watching movies in person, which we had never thought would be able to be possible so soon, because when we started, COVID was still really at its peak, and we even said in a couple of early chats, if we ever get together in person. So when we actually got to be physically in person, it was a big deal. It really was. Well, and that was why we were pretty much had to conform to doing it over Zoom, was because of COVID. So also, I didn't want you to make that long hour drive so much too. Kat is so awesome. She has to drive here for an hour from her house, and that's really awesome of her. And it's worth doing. Well, I love having you. I'm very grateful that you drive. So here's some more stats. Over 26 hours of recorded material and live streaming material that is up on YouTube that we've done together. That is a lot of hours of content. That is a lot of hours, because that's a lot of hours of actually recording. Yeah, and it doesn't include, because this would be double the amount of hours at least, if not triple the amount of hours. It doesn't include, we have chats, Zoom chats, to talk about preparing for the actual chats. So there's extra chats in there, and there's also extra texting and extra planning and extra emailing,
all about the planning stages of these marathons and of our chats in general. So I really think if we included that, it would be at least double.
Well, yeah, and think about it. A lot of times we chat after we chat.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, what are we going to talk about the next time?
Yeah, or like, how did it go? Like, what do you think we should include? How should we, like, do this part? How should we promote this?
Do we need to edit it? Can we add a guest to our chat? You know, because we even did that, which has been exciting. We've had a couple of chats where some of our friends have, you know, sent in clips for us, which I think is always exciting to get other people's opinions as well. So
it is. So also, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but this is going to seem like we're really vulgar people when I go through these stats here. But let me just say that, like, this is all coincidental. When you're watching horror movies, of course, sometimes you come across content that's like pretty extreme and like weird. I don't usually just talk about boners like it's nothing, but in our chats I did talk a lot about them, and it's because of the movies we were reviewing.
Well, let's say it all started with one movie.
It did.
And because of that one movie, we felt like every movie after that somehow had a connection to it.
Yeah. So basically, it's all Rotten Tail's fault. Let me just, like, name the movie that you just, like, hinted at. Freaking Rotten Tail started it all. It was so over the top, and I don't know. It was extreme.
Well, even books that we were reading. One of our book club books had mentioned
Children of the Dark by Jonathan Jans.
And didn't they actually in Cabal talk a little bit about it as well?
They did.
Like, what
it
the
happens.
Deal? So clearly, boners are, you know,
popping up
in horror movies and horror books.
Pun intended this time. I have another chat where I said no pun intended, but it's an obvious pun. Come on. I'm definitely going there. All right, so here are the stats, and again, we're not really vulgar. It's just the movies that we end up talking about, and it all started with Rotten Tail. So throughout, and this is, by the way, so these numbers are, I only could count how many times we said these things through a certain chat. So I was trying to rewatch all our chats to count these like words up. And I only got through our first zombie chat, which was 5 months ago. So there's 5 months of videos that I did not get to count. So I'd like to update this number maybe when I do our best of, like, compilation. Maybe, like, I'm going to record an intro, and maybe in that I'll say our updated numbers for saying this, and that is this. So
that would be
I'll
great.
update the numbers.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to know the official, like, number. All right, so within this last 12 months, we said wiener 3 times on our streams. We said dildo 4 times, which actually was because of Saint, not Rotten Tail. We said penis 9 times. Boner 22 times, mostly me saying it. Dick 7 times.
Lord.
And feral naked man 3 times. I don't know if you even remember what that was from. No. It was from a Christmas movie. A Christmas horror movie. You said it, not me.
I did?
Yes! It wasn't me. I rewatched it. It was you. You're like, you even said, like, in the chat, you're like, can I say who he is? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. You're like, it's a feral naked man. And again, that leaves out 5 months of videos. Who knows how many more times we said it? No. I have no idea, but I have a feeling it might be a little bit more. So yeah, I wanted to surprise you with those numbers and those stats.
Oh my god! And to think we thought it started with Rotten Tail.
I know,
but it technically started with Saint.
It did start with Saint, honestly, because Saint was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and you didn't even watch the whole movie.
I know.
Could you imagine if you would have watched the entire movie?
Yeah, and I played around. What Kat is referring to is I played around with saying that we had 56 and a half movies in common, because I watched half of Saint and fell asleep and didn't want to re-rent it because it expired. And she watched the whole thing. She persevered. I even told her, though, I warned her, I said, you don't want to watch all of Saint. And this is a horror Christmas movie, by the way. Yeah. And it's on best of lists.
It is a horrible horror Christmas
It's
movie.
A horrific horror movie for Christmas. Don't watch it. I don't know. Maybe you'd like it. There's some good kills, you said.
Well, actually, there are some good kills. And considering some of our other horrible movies we've seen...
Yeah, it's really not so bad in retrospect.
It's not the worst. Like, you think you see one, and then along comes another, and you're like, whoof.
It's even worse than you
Yeah, you're going to be surprised when we talk about those numbers and everything, what made my worst list.
Yeah, guys.
Because I know you think for a fact one of the ones that we talked at length with that is not my favorite made that list, but you're going to be surprised.
Oh, I'm excited to see what her bottom 5. Like, I even told her, I was like, don't tell me your bottom 5. So within this chat, some more things we're going to talk about. We're going to do individual stats where I'm going to give you like my numbers and hours watched throughout the year. I'm also going to go through my best and worst lists of movies, and so will Kat. And that'll be kind of interesting because we're talking about a pool of 210 movies combined, but I'll even tell you how much the pool of my movies are individually. But also, I do want to jump ahead and just ask you before we begin into our individual stuff. Do you have anything you want to shout out, like best parts of videos that you can recall after I showed you like the best of, like funniest, best moments, or just something that jumps out at you before we go into individual?
The first thing that jumps out is the fact that you and I laugh.
Yes, we do.
A great deal.
It's so joyful. It's great. I love doing content together. It brightens my whole year.
And I guess I just don't realize when we're actually chatting how much we are having fun.
We are.
You know, we really are having fun discussing it and learning new things about the movies that we're watching, learning things about each other and what our likes and dislikes. I mean, because for the most part, I think we agree on a lot of the content that we watch or we read. But every once in a while when we don't agree on it, and don't get me wrong, we always respectfully disagree.
Yes.
But it's just hilarious when we don't agree because we're like kind of mortified that
you're usually mortified at me for liking something that you
or I'm mortified when she doesn't support something that I'm like, clearly this is great art. You know?
And I get sad when she doesn't like some of my favorites. Like, we're not going to talk about it today because we're about to release a chat in which we will talk about it. She hated one of my favorite horror movies, Session 9. And a lot of other people do, too, apparently. Whatever.
Apparently. So what does that tell you, Kelsi?
My opinion's trash. Maybe. Perhaps. I hope not.
What I think is what I really like about our videos are that we really kind of delve into more than just the surface of the movies.
Yes.
And that's what I like about our chats. Like, we really bring something to the table a little more than just saying, well, how did you like this movie? Oh, it was great. You know,
yeah, it's
whatever.
Definitely more than that.
And it also leads us down rabbit holes and we start learning about different stuff. I mean, like, I loved our slasher marathon because we really went into detail about what makes a slasher movie, and that was so fun researching.
And that was some of the most research we had ever done for a chat, because I mean, there were pages and pages, and Kat sent me like billions of emails with links. You even said like, I'm flooding your email with links for research for that chat, because there's so much difference in what people consider a slasher movie or not.
Exactly.
Everyone kind of has their own opinions about what makes a slasher, and it was so fascinating to dive into all that, and we talked about it, and we read from like actual websites and like books on the matter. It was really great. I do like that marathon chat.
What also the fact too is Kelsi thinks every chat that we do, she'll edit it and she'll say, this is the best chat we've done ever. And then, but she says that about every one, so I don't know if it is really the best one.
I think that was our best chat. Like, that's basically my thing after we record every time.
But I like it because one thing we can never like get through a chat. We've never had a short chat. Let's put it that way.
We've tried. We've tried to devise ways. That's probably the thing that we've tried to do the most, but kind of failed at. But we have so if you look at our first chat, like I said, almost 2.5 hours. We have condensed it down. We did have one chat at 49 minutes. I wrote down like the numbers.
Was it on just one thing that we talked about?
Yeah.
Well.
That's a long chat about one thing, but yes. But then we've had chats that are like, just an hour. Or a little over an hour. So we have gotten better, and we've decided to break things up to try to make it shorter. But even so, we think, okay, this will be a quick thing. It'll be like, 20 minutes tops on this one thing. And then it becomes way more. No matter how much we try, it becomes way more.
Well, but I have to say, I've loved our chat that we did about Christmas Evil in our Christmas chat.
I love that one too.
I loved our Rotten Tail chat because
every time we disagree, I mean, we agreed on Rotten Tail. Either something that we really passionately hate seems to be great, like to talk about, or when we disagree about what we think about a movie, that seems to be great. Those are the two things I think really make some of the chats or parts of the chats.
I love our live chats. I love being able to be here. I don't know. Especially when we did our Silver Bullet and Cycle of the Werewolf compare and contrast.
I keep wanting to say that was one of my favorite chats, but then I'd be saying it about all of them because there's something special about all of them. You could pick something like really fun.
Well, and I think that was one of the things when we were watching that compilation, which you're not even finished with it yet, but that was one of it's like going back and realizing that was really a fun part. And this part was really fun. And boy, we laughed a lot on that one.
We did.
Or just facial expressions. Like, when one person says something and the other one's like, what? What are you talking about?
Some of your facial expressions, specifically in regards to Christmas Evil, about how I'm like praising it and your like eyes are like huge.
Yeah, Kelsi's queen of corn.
I am.
Cheesy corn.
This is what
cheesiness and corn.
This is what we've come to the conclusion of.
Yes,
but basically, I
so.
love cheese in movies, and she doesn't really. So this is like what we've learned over the last year in terms of movie tastes.
Yes.
So I have to be careful when, suggesting something to Kat. Like, Ginger Dead Man, should you try it? Should you not? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think you could appreciate the cheese like I can. I've got the finer taste in cheese.
And it smells.
To some people, I guess. Alright, so we're gonna go into individual stats now, but guys, we have more to say about like joint stuff. And after our individual stats, then we're going to go into best and worst lists. All right, so Kat, you take it away with your stats.
Okay, so my total number of movies was 102 movies. Number of movies watched per marathon. From a Halloween of 2020, I watched 13 movies. Christmas 2020, I watched 24 movies, but I split it up. I had 12 for horror, 12 for classic. Musicals in 2021, that was our February, and it was all about love. I tried to do everything about love in that one. 7 movies, 7 musicals. Holiday horror, a marathon, which spanned 2 months, right?
It did. It was one of our longest, like, in terms of how long it took us to complete it, marathons ever.
Exactly.
I mean, it really was long.
15 movies. My zombie marathon was 10. Summer Slasher was 13, and then Halloween 2021, I decided to up the ante, and I did 20 movies.
Which, that's your most, besides Christmas, yet.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, looking back, you're not a big Christmas person, yet your most viewed stuff was Christmas 2020.
Right.
Which is surprising.
Which is surprising. And, now that we've decorated for Halloween, I am kind of want to decorate for Christmas.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because it's not my favorite holiday. I mean, I don't despise Christmas, but I'm just not one that it's not my favorite holiday, but I don't despise it by any,
I think this is bringing Christmas cheer back into your life.
Yes,
it's making you enjoy Christmas more than ever before.
But really, that is what is ironic about the whole thing is that I did watch the most movies for Christmas time.
I know.
But that's because I did horror because I do love Christmas movies. I mean, there's so many great Christmas movies and we watch them every year. So it's like, I might as well put those on my list because I'm actually watching them. So
looking back at my Christmas list from last year, I had trouble completing everything on my Christmas list of 2020. And I said at the end of the chat, next year I'm going to limit my movies. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be this ambitious. What's my list now? 25 movies.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't even get through, I think I had 18 last year. I didn't get through them all.
And I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do what I did this past year with the movies. I think I might just do Christmas horror movies and as a list. And then watch my favorites that I watched last year. You know, like I watch every year, basically. So I'll put it in my overall movie watching, that I'll watch it for this year. But I don't think I'm going to actually put it part of a marathon. Because if I get to it or I don't get to it, it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And just to wrap this part up, my number of hours, 166 hours and 37 minutes.
Wow. That's
incredible.
incredible.
Movies. That is a lot of hours.
It is.
I mean, it didn't all happen in one time, but
it's still great to just know the number.
Yeah.
And it blows you away.
I know.
I can't even believe it.
It's awesome.
All right, so shall I go into my stats now?
Yes, let's hear yours.
All right, so I did 164 total movies. Again, this goes from last October 2020. I will say, so a lot of the movies, 65 of those 164 came from the Halloween 2020 marathon. So that's a huge bulk of that number. I mean...
Well, yeah, because it was, 65?
Yeah. So, like,
well,
that only leaves 99 then.
Kelsi's the beast of watching movies. I'm just going to say.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Thank
beast
you.
Beast in a nice way, not beast in a bad way.
Also, so I'm going to save my hours after I go through how many, movies per marathon. So, again, speaking of my best marathon in terms of accomplishments, my Halloween 2020 marathon, I watched 65 movies. And also, on top of that, I watched 8 specials, like, Halloween specials, and also cartoon shorts too, so specials and shorts, and 36 Halloween themed TV episodes. Wow. So then for our Christmas 2020 movie marathon, I did 16 movies or specials, and then for our movie and TV musical marathon, because I actually watched 2 TV episodes on top of my movies, it was 14 films and 2 TV episodes. For holiday horror movie marathon, we did 15 movies, or I did 15 movies. For our Zombie Awareness Month, I did 7 movies. It was originally 6. I added 1. I remember that.
Yes, because that was the one that I suggested to you.
You were trying to convince me to do the Dave Bautista one and then some other ones. I was like, okay. And Scout's Guide, I think, was one I added because of you. So then I also had 15 films for my summer slasher marathon. And finally, this past Halloween 2021, I did 32 films for that. So that leads me to the amount of hours and minutes. So all told...
Dun, dun, dun.
And this includes TV movie watching, by the way, because I counted the episode length. 286 hours and 20 minutes. That's basically 17,180 minutes total.
Oh, wow.
I can't even believe it. It's real. It kind of blows me away, actually. I just can't even believe that's the number.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. But again, that includes the TV episodes from... A lot of the bulk of that is, like, from Halloween 2020. And just because I was so productive. I didn't have a full-time job then, by the way. I had, like, a freelance job where I wasn't really working too much. Every now and then, like, I think I was working weekends, ironically, and not during the week very much. But I think that's why I got so much done.
And something you need to consider... I want to say is that I watch movies in general. I watch a lot of movies in general over the year. It's just the marathons give us a plan of watching specific movies at certain times of the year.
And around a theme. I just love the theme of everything.
Because I'm keeping track of my movies that I've watched this year just overall. And for starting in January 2021 to this point, I've watched 87 movies. And part of those movies are the movies that have been in the marathon from January on. So, I mean, it's not... I am going to probably hit 102 movies or more by the end of 2021, just in general. So, I mean, because I love movies and I love watching television. I mean, it's one of the things that make me happy.
I mean, we've said this before in our chats. We're liberal arts students, so like, film is like our thing. I went to school for film some of the time.
We both worked in television,
for many years.
Yes, and I've done some film stuff, and it's so it's just it's what we like to do. It
is. It's just so fun. So let's go and talk about our best and worst list. I'm really excited about this because it's so hard. So, okay, just think about the numbers.
It is extremely difficult. To narrow it down.
You have like over 100 movies. I have 164 movies. And out of that, you have to narrow it down. We're trying to do a top 10 and then 15 honorable mentions for like best new watches. So this does not include any rewatches we did because we have a separate best of list for that. Right. So this was so difficult. I mean, the pool of movies. It's like, some of them were so good. Now, we did have a lot of duds. Not a lot, but when you total all the duds together, it's kind of a good amount. But still, we had way more good movies, I think, than duds.
These are movies that I would highly recommend to people. I mean, there are other movies I would say, it was okay. I mean, watch it if you like this. These are clearly movies that I would say you should watch at least once, in your lifetime.
And I think so too. So that'll be like, that's a good criteria to have to make your best of list. Like, this means you should watch it at least one time. That's a good criteria. But before we get into the actual best list, let's talk about our favorite overall marathon that we participated in. So I guess the criteria for this would be, when I was thinking about it, like, which marathon did I find the most gems, or which marathon did I enjoy overall the most in terms of the movies, but maybe also the books and the extra activities. So I'll go first for mine. My favorite marathon, And it's funny because in the chat I talk about how disappointed I was because I didn't get to everything I wanted to do. But looking back, I remember all the great things I did for it. My Christmas marathon for 2020 was really my ultimate favorite, and the close second is our Summer Slasher Marathon, because we did so many great chats, we learned so much new information, and it was just a great time, and I found some great hidden gem movies that I had never seen before. But backing up to the Christmas one, which is that's my standalone number one. That one, I mean, I baked gingerbread cookies for the first time, and I made them all deformed, and like I love that was I had pictures of it in our chat, and I made them all bloody, and it was a big to do, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, she was inspired by Ginger Dead Man.
Exactly. I was watching crazy films like Ginger Dead Man and really good movies like Rare Exports. There was so much good stuff in the Christmas marathon. So many movies I discovered that I was really like behind on watching Christmas horror. And that's what I learned from Christmas 2020 was that there was actually quite a few good ones out there, but I am a little nervous for this year because I felt like we had watched a lot of great ones.
What's really surprising is I didn't realize how many Christmas horror movies were out there. Like, I mean, except for, like Black Christmas.
Krampus.
Or Krampus.
2015.
I had no idea how many Christmas horror movies were out there. And then when I started compiling my list, I mean, there were some really nice gems out there.
There really
just going to say that.
There really were. I'm really happy with what we watched last Christmas and for Summer Slasher. So what are your favorites?
Okay, this was extremely hard for me.
I know. I mean,
extremely hard.
We had some good marathons.
Every marathon, I have movies that I absolutely love or adore, and they're not always rewatches. Some of them are brand new movies I've never seen before. So my top one was Christmas 2020.
Wow, I'm surprised.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Funny. But when I was looking over my list and thinking about what we had done, Christmas 2020 involved a lot more than just watching movies. But it was the combo of the horror and the classic, I think, is what made the movie watching experience so great for that marathon. That's what I think. Then, I mean, close coming in was the zombie marathon, because I felt like my movies for the zombie, except for one that was kind of cheesy, I loved everything that I watched for my zombie marathon.
And that was a short, easy marathon. But you added more than me. But it was still kind of, it felt short.
And I had some, what I liked too was I actually got to watch some movies that, weren't American-made movies. And that's what I really enjoyed too, was seeing movies made in different countries. And then my Summer Slasher. I love the Summer Slasher, and for a lot of reasons. Fear Street was like one of the big reasons for that. And then we did a deep dive into what makes a slasher film. And I don't know, it was just, we watched a really terrifying movie during the slasher period of time.
Terrifier.
It was just also, too, that it was summer slasher, and just the whole feel of it, taking place during the summertime. I got to rewatch a movie I had forgotten about, and that just, it was just
And that was our first live stream together. Yes. And actually, that was the marathon that we did the first in person together too, because that was our Fear Street chat. It wasn't live streamed, but we did record it together. Right. So that was our first chat in person. So a lot of fun, big things I think happened around that marathon. Yeah. Now I didn't make anything. Actually, I did. I forgot. I thought it was just the movie watching, but I did make this dessert lasagna that was like this chocolate pudding, and I put like kill or something on with chocolate chip cookies, and I made it look like blood, so I had like red pudding in it. It was actually a recipe for a Valentine's Day. That's why it was red. For a Valentine's Day type of dessert. But how I made it like Summer Slasher was the kill or whatever. No, it said die. It was die. And I took pictures, but I never included it in our chat, and I never included it like on social media either.
Oh, really?
I don't think I showed it to anybody. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I did for the marathon. That was my only extra, really. I did read, but when we talk about favorite books, I didn't include any of my Summer Slasher books because when we started the marathon, I did not have a plan of reading books. And I actually started reading the books after our marathon was over. I kind of used it as a way to continue the theme of the marathon into like what month was the Summer Slasher? Do you remember? Was it June? Because I think I did my reading in July.
Well, Summer Slasher, our marathon was for July. Are you talking about?
Then it was August. It was the month after.
Yes, because we did pick a book that was kind of summery
for
our book club.
Oh, for our book club. But I was just asking, when did we do the marathon with the movies?
Oh no, that was July.
July. Okay, so whatever month it was, July. I did my reading in August. and I was doing a whole summer camp slasher theme for my YouTube channel, like a special video about books. So I'm not including those reads, even though I had some great reads for that little mini marathon of mine. But it wasn't really included in our actual summer slasher marathon, and that's why I'm not including it in best reads, because I want to only mention reads that were associated with our marathons and that we plan to do as part of our marathons. So for me, I didn't read as much with our marathons like you did, but we'll get there when we get there. So now let's go into more of best. Let's take it away with you with your top 10 and then 15 honorable mentions.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with 10, and number 1 being the most favorite.
And again, tell us your pool of movies again. 102, you said?
102. So my 10th movie was Across the Universe. It was a musical, Beatles music.
Yay!
I absolutely loved this movie. So that was my number 10. Number 9, also a musical, Anna and the Apocalypse. Absolutely loved this movie. It's a Christmas movie, but it's also zombies. I mean, I watched it for the Christmas marathon, but it also includes zombies. So the combination of musical and zombies, I love that.
It married very well together.
Yes, it did.
No such thing as a Hollywood ending. Now, that song was catchy. Over a year later, or almost a year later, not yet a year, but I remember it. Yeah, like, I will say, so I was bashing it in our chat. I was like, I didn't really like it that much, but that freaking song, and some of the kills were incredible. I cried at a character dying. So I don't know why I said I didn't like it, because clearly I remember it, I have fond memories of it, and, like, I like that song.
Yeah, and I have to honestly say, my husband liked it. My husband's not a big musical person at all, but he loved it. There's so many kills in there that are so great that you're just like, wow. And
she uses a candy cane as a weapon.
Yeah, it's great. Number 8, A Christmas Horror Story. Loved it.
So good.
It was an anthology, and I really liked how it all tied together. William Shatner's in it, which is great. Number 7, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Just wonderful. Love this movie. It's just really funny, but it's like a funny horror movie.
Yeah.
Number 6, Krampus. First time seeing Krampus, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. Toni Collette is one of my favorite actresses, and so it was so good. Number 5, I kind of cheated on this.
It's okay.
It's the Fear Street trilogy.
You can count it. The whole trilogy as a whole.
The whole trilogy. I loved the Fear Street trilogy. It was great. Not having read Fear Street books, I've read R.L. Stine. I've read his some of his Goosebumps books, but I had never read Fear Street. And when this came out, I was like, Kelsi, we have got to jump on this, because it was just, that was one of those times where we actually jumped on something that was trending at that moment.
Yeah, that was like our first time we did that, and our only time since, really.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was so excited because I loved it. I loved all 3 movies, and would highly recommend that. Number 4, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Love this one also.
It was fun.
Number 3, Behind the Mask, the Leslie Vernon story. What I enjoyed about that movie so much is the fact that it goes, behind the scenes of what it's like to be a serial killer, like a Jason or, a Freddy Krueger or a Michael Myers.
So meta.
So great. So great. The second one, Final Girls, I think it's because of I loved Final Girls.
I did not get that vibe from you when we talked about it. I didn't realize you liked it that much. I loved that movie too.
What I loved about Final Girls was the whole layout of it. If there's a part in there where, they're stuck in a part of a horror movie that would be in slow motion, they move in slow motion. If it's a flashback, it turns back to like black and white. They would have like, lettering come in, credits coming in while they're actually, like, in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just, I liked it because it was different.
I knew you'd like it. I just didn't know you liked it this much.
It was like heartwarming too. This was hard to do this list because honestly, for the most part, I think I liked the majority of my movies. So, but these are movies that I could see myself watching over and over and over again, kind of like The Breakfast Club, which is my absolute probably favorite movie in the whole planet of the world. But anyway, and then number 1, Train to Busan.
Yeah, and I recommended that, so now all my recommendations are done.
I love this movie. So intense. It is. I don't know. I like it, and I mean it's a foreign film, and that did not matter. You know, like if anybody is bothered by, you know, having subtitles when they're watching a movie.
Yeah, some people don't like them.
You know, you will be missing out. It's well worth it, you know. I mean, because you can really get the vibe and tell what's going on without even having to really look at the subtitles. Because I think it's so, I mean, the acting's superb, the action's superb, the kills are superb, and they have zombies.
And there's a character you hate and you want him to die.
Yeah, you want the zombies to eat his brains.
You really do. By the way, before we go on to your honorable mentions, I want to shout out here, Ceci_200 says, I love Toni Collette. So do you. So that's in reference to, we were just talking about Krampus that made Kat's Top 10.
Welcome to our chat.
And thanks to everyone who's watching live. Also, thanks to all of you who might be watching this after the fact on demand. Appreciate you all. It means a lot, and we're really excited about this anniversary celebration, so thank you for being a part of it with us. And thank you for, if you've watched some of our older videos all this time, thank you for supporting us and our content. It means a lot because we just have so much fun talking about these together, but we also like to hear other people's opinions.
We do. We love hearing people's opinions. Before we move on, Ceci, what is your favorite Toni Collette movie? I mean, can you narrow it down to one?
Well, while we wait for them to answer, you can go through your honorable mentions, and we'll see if they answer.
Okay, now my 25 honorable mentions for best new watches.
Is it 25 honorable mentions or 15 to make the whole list 25?
I'm sorry. 15 for it's 15 honorable mentions as part of my 25
top 25.
You know, top new watches.
And these are in no order.
They are not in any specific order. I have to say Halloween Town, The Halloween Tree, love both of them. Claus and Jingle Jangle, which are family-friendly movies, but I loved both of them. The Innocents, which is an older movie. It's based on the book Turn of the Screw. So, which I've just realized there are a lot of movies that have been made from that story.
Yes.
Okay, it's interesting to me because I had watched another movie called The Turning years ago, or late before we even started doing this.
And I've never read the story.
So when I watched The Innocents, I was like, this seems so familiar to another movie I've read.
It's funny.
Holidays, which is another anthology. Oh, yeah. I like anthologies. Hashtag Alive, zombie movie. Creep, I know, which you're so shocked that I put that on the list. But I like Creep, found footage movie. The Ritual, Severance, Color Out of Space. Loved Color Out of Space.
It made your list.
It made my list, okay? Because it was neat. And also, too, Nick Cage. Nick Cage is fabulous. He's one of my favorites. I'm sorry. I know sometimes people think, you know, he's kind of crazy.
I like that.
But this is Nick Cage. This is Nick Cage at his finest, and he loses his shit, and it is so great.
I like when he goes batshit crazy. I personally love that.
Better Watch Out, which is a Christmas horror. Rare Exports, which is Christmas horror. I think Better Watch Out is like going to change your life when you, as far as...
It disturbed me.
It is very disturbing.
It disturbed me.
The Children and The Girl with All the Gifts.
Oh, I didn't realize you liked it that much.
I did. And you know what the thing about like The Children and Rare Exports and Better Watch Out, you know, something about that with the children, even The Innocents have children in it that are creepy.
It seems to be a theme you like.
Well, the thing about it is it's kind of horrific when you have evil children or children that do evil things, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so
I agree with you.
Anyway, lots of great movies, but those are the ones that made my list.
That's a great list. So I do want to say, they answered our question, by the way. So Ceci says, I love her and I'm thinking of ending things. Also Hereditary, even though I'm traumatized after watching that.
I agree with you on Hereditary because I was freaked out by that movie, and my youngest son came home while I was watching it by myself with my cat and my dogs. But my son came in the last half hour and was freaked out just by the last half hour. He's like, I just don't even like what's going on here.
Oh my gosh.
You know, the scene at the end where she's like floating out or whatever,
God.
just freaked her out. But I agree with you 100% on Hereditary because she did a phenomenal job.
She did.
In that movie. She is a wonderful actress. Loved her in Krampus, you know, so.
You could totally tell by your top 25 how much you liked the Christmas Marathon. So no wonder it was one of your favorites. There were tons of movies from the Christmas Marathon.
I could have put, because I had a lot of 5-star movies on my list, but I was like, I can't just put everything from that. So what I did to get my top 25, is I wanted to look at all my marathons as a whole and include something from everything, for that.
But are they all 5? Like everyone?
They are not all 5, believe it or not.
But what about the top 10? Are they all 5 even or no? You don't think so?
I don't think so. No, because I listed them and I even went back to kind of look if they were 5s or 4s. Star ratings are weird for me because sometimes, like I'll give it to them like right after I watch the movie, but then after you and I talk about them, I realize I might have liked it more or I might have liked it less. Or like if I hadn't seen it in a while and then I kind of remember, yeah, that was a pretty good movie. And then I go and look at the rating and I'm shocked that I gave it either a lower rating or a higher rating.
That happened with The Happening for you. You told me that, like in our chat, you said that. You're like, I'd already watched it, but I didn't remember. It was a 2-star rating before you started. And I think you raised it a little bit after.
Yes, I did. So I think a lot of times it depends on what you're experiencing at the moment. If you got the movie the first time, like that's the importance. We talk about that. That's the importance about rewatching sometimes, You
don't really absorb everything the first time all the time. So it is good to rewatch films, I think, because you are in a different place in life usually by the time you rewatch it.
Yes.
And like you can come at it from a different perspective. And sometimes, like I said, you just miss stuff.
Well, you do. And what's hilarious about The Happening is I didn't even realize I had watched it. That was what was crazy.
Yeah.
And then when I started watching it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this movie because it has that really awesome scene where the people are falling, they're walking off the building. That to me is just an awesome shot scene. It's just visually, I don't know what I want to say, visually
tense,
appealing to me and to see it. It's just beautiful the way it
also
is.
Like very disturbing.
It's just hard to say that, but it's like a satisfying type of cinematography.
Yes.
I guess is the best way to say it.
Something can be shot in a beautiful way, but it could still be disturbing what's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so Sissy says, I will have to watch Krampus then. Oh, they haven't watched it. That's interesting. Krampus on my TBR by Brahm, so maybe it'll be a Krampus-themed holiday. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We did a Krampus-themed holiday. A lot of our movies had Krampus last year.
Yes,
so it was kind of a Krampus-themed holiday. By the way, I do want to take a second, because we just talking, I was going to wait to the end, but we're talking about the Christmas Marathon so much. You guys, not a lot of people have viewed it. We have gotten more viewers, and my YouTube has grown since we recorded the Christmas chats. We had 2, a general Christmas chat and also a Christmas horror chat. But I will say that our general chat included horror books. So I would definitely recommend going back and watching both of them, because I feel like people have not watched them. A lot of people that follow me now and are more interested in my content now, maybe haven't seen it. And with Christmas coming up, I think it's a good way for people to plan stuff to watch.
I would definitely recommend Krampus with Toni Collette.
Me too.
I am going to add some Krampus movies to this holiday, horror marathon that we're going to do for Christmas, and books, because we'll talk more about our books that we read. But I'll have to check out that Krampus by Brahm. So, it's a book, right? To be read. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to have to check that. We need to look into that one too.
We'll have to look into it for sure.
Thanks for the suggestion on that.
Yeah, I am really excited to plan my Christmas TBR into watch list. That's like what's next to plan. Now that we're done kind of planning all of our chats for this month, my next thing is plan December, the marathon and the readathon. It's not an official readathon, but like whatever we're going to read.
Right.
All right, so here comes my top 25. And this includes a ranked top 10 list and then 15 honorable mentions, just like Kat did. So I'm going to start off with my top 10, I guess. So from 10 to 1. Number 10, Little Monsters. It took me by surprise how much I liked it. We watched this film for our zombie movie marathon, and I just adored it. I didn't think I'd like it. I put it on my list, but it's because it was on best zombie lists. It was best zombie movie lists. I just didn't think that I would love it as much as I did. There was some kind of sweetness to it, but also there was some humor in it. And I know you didn't like the humor as much as me, but I don't know. There was something about it that I loved.
There was just one character that just got on my nerves.
Yes, but I kind of found that character kind of funny. But yeah. See, like, this is how
I actually bought the movie, so I own it.
You do?
That is the only way I could watch it.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I had put it on my list, and I'm like, I really want to see this because I love the actress, that's in it. So that's what I wanted to watch.
It was just such a sweet movie, but like the effects were great too. And I'm not a big zombie movie person, but I had a lot of good zombie films on our zombie marathon.
I convinced her to watch some zombie movies.
She did. And I do not regret it at all. It was great. All right, so like Little Monsters was number 10. Number 9, We Are Still Here. And we have not talked about this yet. This was one of my movies from this past Halloween, this marathon. and I was blown away by it. It was really creepy. It did give me goosebumps at one point. I thought it was legit scary.
Ooh,
I would recommend it for a future marathon.
I'll need to put that on there.
Number 8, Midsommar, which I watched for my Halloween 2020 marathon. Loved it. So artistic, so visually striking, and so off-putting. It's also a slow burn in some senses of the word, but not completely. There are little hints that things are amiss along the way if you really pay attention. And there's just an unsettling vibe the entire time.
It's the same director that did Hereditary. I mean, it bothered me.
It bothered me too. And there's a very explicit, disgusting, not disgusting as in like they're doing crazy things, but like the sex scene that happens. Yeah. It's so
disturbing.
Yeah. Creepy. I don't like that part at all. But that's what like stays with you is the feeling like this is wrong. This is so terrible.
Yeah, you just feel gross.
Yeah. And you also feel sad for another character.
Well, you feel gross because you're watching it. You feel like you should not be watching it.
Yeah. Oh god, it's horrible. All right, so number 7, Phantasm 2, which was also a movie I watched for my Halloween 2020 marathon. So funny. There are like chainsaw fights. There are like there's goo coming out of a head. There's exploding houses. Like the explosion is so much bigger than it's supposed to be. Like it's not believable at all. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's lots of cheese.
It is. I don't know if you'd like it as much. I'm sure you've probably seen it a long time ago.
Probably, but the original is probably the one that freaks me out.
Yeah. I mean,
Tall Man.
Tall Man's in both, but yeah.
I know, but Tall Man.
Tall Man.
Yeah. I don't like to go anywhere near a mausoleum because of that movie.
Yeah.
Like I would never be in a mausoleum by myself. Ever.
All thanks to that movie.
Yes.
Ugh, I wouldn't want to be there in general, but like I wouldn't mind being like in a cemetery.
Just the way Tall Man walks freaks me out.
I mean, he is very, very like lurking and creepy and ugh. Yeah. I don't know. Just the way he looks too.
He is. He's just.
The funny thing is, I heard the actor was really nice and sweet, like the sweetest guy. So that's pretty funny that he really is good at portraying.
I was
someone
kind of sad when I heard he had passed away.
Yeah.
Because he did a great job at being.
And people said he was
creepy.
nice, like I said. So it's funny he did his job really well
Right.
because he creeped you out. All right. So number 6. Intruder, which was one of the movies I watched for my summer slasher marathon. Also a cheesy film. It's not like a great award-worthy film, but it had such unique shots. Like there was a shot that they filmed on a grocery store shelf with like I think something being removed off the shelf, then you see like the shot. Also there was a shot within a shopping cart. So, like, you know, the camera's in the shopping cart. There was such unique kills. I don't know. I really had a good time with that movie. Number 5, Black Christmas from 1974.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was amazing. I can't believe I waited so long to see that movie. And, of course, that was part of our Christmas 2020 marathon, and it was a gem for me.
And it had Margot Kidder in it.
Yes.
Which I thought was fabulous.
It was just really well acted all around. And it had some content that was surprising, like that they were tackling some social issues that I was very surprised to hear them talk about in a 70s film, like an early 70s film. All right, so number 4, Psycho 2. I think it's one of the best sequels ever of all time.
Really?
Yes. It surprised me. My friend Nathan was like, I hope you like Psycho 2 because I love it. And of course, I'm referencing, this is something, I should have counted how many times I've referenced Nathan the whole year because my friend Nathaniel Toll, he's the author of Pumpkin Cinema. I must have referenced him and said that exact sentence probably like 50 times over our marathons.
Probably so.
Our chats.
And she's actually had chats with him.
I've had 2, so I've done marathons with him as well as part of my year, which I've loved as well. But he was like, I hope you like Psycho 2 as much as me because I really have a fond place for it in my heart. And so after I watched it, I was like, I loved it. I really loved it. It was so well written, and you've got Anthony Perkins back in the role, so that's kind of important, I think. If it was somebody else, it wouldn't have worked.
Right.
But amazing. I would recommend it. And I wouldn't feel scared that you would dislike it because I think the story is really good. All right, number 3. Aquarius, also known as Stage Fright. This just reminded me so much of the movie Suspiria. And Suspiria is one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
The original.
Yes, the original. Yes. The Dario Argento version. So Aquarius had that vibe, and actually people involved in the film also were involved in Argento's film. So that makes me, like, not surprised at all. It totally makes sense because the style is there, that same style. And of course, I watched this one for our summer slasher marathon again. So lots of picks from the Summer Slasher Marathon. Number 2, Terror Train. I really liked this one. I really loved Terror Train. And that was for our Holidays Marathon because it takes place around New Year's. So if you guys are looking for good horror movies around New Year's, by the way, I think Jaws is one of them. One of the Jaws movies. It might be Jaws the Revenge. But one has to do with Christmas and New Year's. Ghostbusters 2 is New Year's related. But Terror Train is my pick. That's on my top 10. I thought it was creative in terms of setting.
I agree with you.
If you were a killer, you'd have so many places to hide on a train. And I just loved Jamie Lee Curtis's performance.
Loved it, especially because it was something she did after she did Halloween.
Yeah, and I feel like her acting chops were even more fine-tuned by that point because, as you pointed out in our Holidays chat, Halloween was her first role.
Right. And I'm a fan,
she only got better
I'm a fan
after.
of Jamie Lee Curtis. So,
Me too.
I love seeing the movies that she's done.
I just thought it had a great twist too. So Terror Train had a lot that I adored. And then number 1, this will upset you. I don't know why I'm dancing about it. Christmas Evil. I'm not saying that to rev you up. I really love that movie. I really love that movie.
I know you do. Clearly. If you watch the chat, you're going to see how much she loves this movie.
I love how I'm not insane. I relate to him. I mean, he's insane. I'm not insane, but
he is insane to love this movie so much.
It was a great film. It was a great film. It had it all. It had some cheesiness, but honestly, I thought it was yeah. I honestly thought it was a really good look at somebody who was losing their grip with reality and had problems.
Clearly.
Clearly
from the ending. The ending really shows that as well.
Every time we talk about this movie, we lose it. We disagree so much on this movie. I can't believe it's my favorite of 164 movies. And you're just
it is your absolute favorite. Out of all these movies you've watched, this is your number 1 of new watches.
I think part of it, to be honest, is our chat makes me think so. Maybe it's because of the chat we had about it. Makes me remember it even more fondly, if that makes sense. Just every time I watch a part of our chat, obviously we filmed it, then I edited it, then I always rewatch stuff when it's up on my channel to make sure I didn't make a mistake editing. Not that I could fix it at that point. I don't even know why I torture myself. I've seen some things that I've misedited on our chats and on my own videos where a transition, a cut might be wrong or it bothers me. But I still check it anyway. And then I've been rewatching it for this just to, count things up.
So you're probably secretly watching Christmas Evil throughout the year.
No. I'm just watching our chat about it, and I think that adds to my enjoyment of the film itself. But I was tempted. But it feels too soon. But at the same time, I was tempted to put it on my list for this year for Christmas.
I'm not surprised at all.
I kind of want to watch it again. I really liked that film. I don't know. In my defense, Nathan liked it too. Nathan likes it too. I'm not the only one. And it's on best of list, and Kat can't believe it.
Has Paul watched it?
No, and I'm scared. He's gonna hate it. Just like you. You and him seem to be on the same wavelength. Y'all don't like cheesy films, and I do.
We should do a challenge. For everyone watching, we should do a challenge for everyone to sign up to watch Christmas Evil. And then we're going to do a poll to see how many people liked it, how many people hated it, how many people are on the fence.
Yeah, let's do that. We should make it a challenge, like the Christmas Evil challenge.
That would be perfect
for
our Christmas marathon.
Yeah, and we could add it as we could discuss the results. I want to be right. I want to be right. Come on, guys, vote yes.
And in the holly jolly season of Christmas, I'll even watch it again.
Really? Yeah.
Just for you, Kelsi.
You said you should rewatch it. When I was explaining the ending, you're like, maybe I should rewatch it. Yeah. Maybe you should.
Oh, yeah. Listen to that. Oh, I'm just kidding. Defending that first place.
I am. All right, so the honorable mentions. Now, it was so hard to make the top 10 list because I have so many good honorable mentions that I loved. It was just so difficult to determine what's an honorable mention versus what's in the top 10. And so the honorable mentions, luckily, are not ranked because that would have taken it even longer.
Yeah, it's too hard.
It is too hard. So here are my, special mentions. The Serpent and the Rainbow. Wonderful film, underrated, Wes Craven. Not a lot of people talk about it. Really fun. Bill Paxton is in it. No, Bill Pullman. I always mix them up. Bill Paxton's in Near Dark. Yes. Bill Pullman, who's usually very moody, by the way. I've been watching The Sinner. I don't know if you've ever heard of that show. All he does is mope in The Sinner.
Really?
Yeah, and sulk. It's his whole character is sulking and like being like pained.
That's a shame.
I don't know. I like it, but like at the same time, me and Paul are kind of laughing that all he is pained on screen.
Right, because generally he's not like that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean that's his character in the show,
okay.
so he's supposed to be like tortured, like a tortured soul, a tortured detective. But anyway, he is kind of tortured in The Serpent and the Rainbow too. Funnily enough, he plays the same type of character, but wild shit happens.
You know that's based on a book.
It is.
It is. I have it.
Really?
I do.
What do you remember? What decade it's from? Is it horror or no?
Probably 80s because I want to say it's Barry's book. I
must read this.
Yeah, I'll look for it.
Yeah, I gotta read this now. Mm-hmm. Wow, this blows my mind. I didn't know.
It's either 80s or 90s. I mean, it could be earlier, but I think we got it in the 80s or 90s. We were married, clearly, when he got a copy of it.
I've got to read this.
I have it in paperback.
That is so cool. I didn't know. Do you think it's a novelization, or do you think the movie was based on the story?
I think the movie's based on the story.
I gotta read this now. This has blown my mind. Mm-hmm. This is cool.
I like Serpent in the Rainbow.
It's a great movie. I
haven't seen it in a very long time, but...
You should rewatch it because wild stuff happens. But it's good. The plot is interesting, too.
Yes.
I'm not trying to downplay it, and it's just, like, on here for cheesiness. It's not just because of that, but that helps.
I didn't think it was cheesy. Was it cheesy?
There's some cheesiness.
Oh, man.
You have to rewatch it and see.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm not going to...
Maybe back in the day when I was younger, I liked cheese.
Things have changed. I mean, maybe you didn't think it was cheesy back then. Some things, like, age. There's some good stuff in it, too, though. It's not all cheese. I'm just saying some parts are.
Well, maybe, like, in your 30s, you like cheese.
Maybe I do. It's a new thing. Like, maybe it's a thing for everybody in their 30s.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's why maybe back then.
I need to see when I watched it, because maybe I was in my 30s. Maybe even younger.
Yes, you're saying my age. Cheese. Cheese. And wine, because I whine a lot. About you not liking my movies. No, just kidding. Dining on cheese and wine.
I know.
Not literally, because I don't like wine. So I think my choices will surprise you, to be honest. Another one on my list, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I really loved that movie. I know you didn't absolutely love it. I just thought it was super subtle, but really effective in terms of just the eerie mood that it displayed.
I didn't dislike it.
I know, but you didn't love it.
I didn't love it.
Yeah, and we watched that for our Halloween marathon this past October.
And we are going to discuss that.
We are
this
coming
up.
Week,
yeah.
So also The Blob, but the 80s version. I thought it was wonderful. The effects were awesome, so much better than the original. Then Final Girls, because I love that film.
I love that film.
That was for Halloween 2020 for me. The Mortuary Collection, also another film that I liked. It was kind of like an anthology, but it all tied together in the end. I think you would like it. I almost am positive you would like it. That was recommended to me by Nathan.
Okay.
And it's not in his book, Pumpkin Cinema, which are about what movies to watch around Halloween time. Because this movie was newer. It was after he published the book. But he personally was like, watch it. So then also I really liked The Brood. I just thought it was great body horror and really disturbing. And the child actor or actress was really, really good. Silver Bullet made my honorable mentions list because we had such a good time. And I really enjoyed it. The Resurrected, which was a movie I watched for October 2021. And it really surprised me. It was just really well done in terms of story, and there was a creepy part with an eye getting cut up. It was really disturbing. An eye. Ugh. All right, so I also loved Rare Exports, like you said. It's such a cute film. It's
so good.
The little boy lead actor is incredible.
It's precious.
A Christmas Horror Story also made my honorable mentions because it's amazing. The story is also good, like Kat referenced. I really liked the movie Clown House. I thought it was an underrated clown movie, and it's super off-putting. My Bloody Valentine. That was for our holidays.
I liked it,
I had a good time with that one. All Hallows Eve. It surprised me. I didn't think I'd like it. I had to shout it out here in the honorable mentions. Alice, Sweet Alice. I don't know. I liked it. I know you didn't as much, but I thought it was great.
I liked it, but it kind of just, I don't know. It kind of reminded me of that movie with Donald Sutherland in it. And Julie Christie.
Don't Look Now?
Yes. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
I haven't seen that in years, so I can't compare.
I didn't hate it, but I mean, it wasn't like, oh.
Yeah, it wasn't like,
I'm glad I watched it. Let's put it that way. I'm glad I watched it. It had some good kills in it. It had some creepiness in it.
And finally, Leprechaun.
Yeah, thank gosh it's not Leprechaun in the Hood.
I know. But I just thought it was so fun. I love St. Patty's Day, and Paul and I watched it on St. Patty's Day. So a lot of these, I guess the experience surrounding it also has a little bit of influence for me, just because I guess I take it as a whole wrapped up package.
Yes. I mean, it's just very hard.
It is.
To choose.
Really
I mean,
is.
because there are some movies on your list that I would be like, yeah, that could be on my list.
I mean, some
too.
movies on your list that I was like, I was even like playing around with adding stuff to my list when you were like reading off yours. I was like, oh, should I replace something? It's so difficult when you like a lot of films, you know. All right, so now let's go to the worst movies.
Dun, dun,
I can't wait to
dun.
see your list because I want to know what's number one. I have no idea. I told her to keep it secret. Are you doing a top 10 or top 5?
Top 5.
I mean, this is technically bottom. So you're doing a bottom 5.
Well, bottom 5.
So start with, okay, this is important to rank it this way. I want you to start with number 5, which is not as bad as number 1. So number 1, whatever's number 1 is your absolute least favorite film you've watched for all of our marathons.
Okay.
Least favorite, horrible, dislike. I'm guessing you wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I have a tie for number 5.
Oh, you do?
I'm sorry, but I have a tie.
Is it session 9?
Tourist Trap is tied with Session 9.
Damn you! I knew it. I was scared, and it came true. My nightmare.
Number 4, Leprechaun in the Hood. Let me just tell you something, folks.
Hoochie
I
Mamas.
know Leprechaun is a whole franchise, and people love the Leprechaun, but I think, beyond like the first 2 or 3, that's it. Like, I haven't watched all of them, but I would say the first one is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The second one, but Leprechaun in the Hood, no. Even having Ice-T in it, who I absolutely adore from Law and Order, SVU, I couldn't even save it. That's the only whole reason why I watched it.
In my best of compilation, you'll see more of Kat's thoughts on Leprechaun in the Hood and why she dislikes it. And you'll see me, of course, in Kelsi fashion, being intrigued by the things she says. I'm like, maybe I should watch it now. So, I don't know. Parts of it kind of intrigue me, but go ahead.
Number 3, Saint. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm not too surprised.
No,
I knew it would be in there.
Number 2, Rotten Tail.
Rotten Tail's number 2?
Yes.
I can't even I don't agree with this. Go ahead. I think I know what your number 1. It only leaves one thing.
And number 1 is Driller Killer.
I can't believe you thought Rotten Tail. I don't think you've thought this through.
I like Rotten Tail better than Driller Killer.
Are you sure?
I am 100% sure. Driller Killer, I just could not. Like, it just made no sense to me at all.
So, guys, we watched Driller Killer as part of our Halloween 2020 marathon, and so we are going to do a deep dive into this movie and why you hate it so much, so I guess we shouldn't jump the gun on this, but we have not filmed the part of the video that's going to talk about that yet, so we haven't even discussed it, but I'm really surprised because, like, there's no boners in it. I mean, so it's not like
it's just so bad.
I mean, yeah, there's bad parts, but, like, you didn't like all the chasing around with, like, the automatic, like, drill?
No.
Or any of the drilling?
No.
I thought the kills were at least okay in that, and fun and funny. Whereas I did not laugh once, except in our convo about Rotten Tail. Not once.
I mean, obviously, I like Session 9 better than this. And you know how I feel about Session 9.
Don't rub it in. Her and Paul ganged up against me. They both didn't like Session 9.
Hey, you even had somebody else say that.
I know, my friend Juan from Plagued by Visions. Check out his channel. He's incredible. I asked him on his live stream if he liked it, and if he had seen it, and if he liked it, and he was like, not real. I mean, it's okay. I was like, no!
He's probably like, meh.
He was pretty much like meh. And I was sad. Then I was like 3 against 1. What the hell? Whatevs. Alright, so I like your bottom 5. But I am very surprised because, like, we have to dive deeper into this when we talk about
because
Driller Killer.
notice what didn't make the list.
I'm trying to think of all the ones you didn't like. What didn't make the list?
How can you not know what didn't make the list?
I'm trying to think of all the bad...
I mean, these
were... Christmas Evil didn't make the list! Yay! Christmas
Literally,
Evil!
these are my half stars because I had to give a star. These are my half stars.
I remember you said for somebody from The Walking Dead in Christmas Evil, you gave a better star rating for Christmas Evil.
Yes, but half stars for 1 through 4, and Tourist Trap and Session 9 have a star.
Okay. Do you remember how much Christmas Evil has that you rated?
2.
You gave it an extra star because of an actor.
Yes,
that was
I
a
did.
kid.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
That's a win. I'm taking it as a win. So
my number... be happy. I'm just so surprised you didn't even notice that.
I was so busy trying to guess if it was going to be Rotten Tail or Driller Killer. I knew it was going to be between those, but I really still can't believe that you're giving it the worst spot because...
I don't know. I mean, Rotten Tail was terrible, but it was entertaining. Like, Driller Killer to me was not. And we'll get more into it when
I think both were pretty painful to watch.
Well, they were, but I don't know. Rotten
Tail
I thought
our convo
so absurd.
was great about Rotten Tail.
Yes,
but I think that's what makes it me think of the movie more fun than it even is, though. So to me, I don't know. I would never rate Driller Killer worse than Rotten Tail. Rotten Tail is terrible. But anyway, we'll see. Did it make my number one? We don't know yet. Or did I like something worse? Or like something less.
Okay, let's see. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Dun. So this is, again, guys, this is worst movies watched. So out of a pool of 164 movies that I watched over the last year, these are my least favorite. Starting with number 5, Satan's Little Helper. It was not the greatest. It actually is in Nathan's book, I believe, but it's not... It could be enjoyed if you like corny stuff, and I like corny stuff. So me putting it on the list, I just thought it was not well made. And the little kid, I hated. There was a little kid main character, and I hated the actor.
Was that Satan's Little Helper?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you hated it?
Well,
he was helping Satan.
I don't mind so
much.
much.
It like it was Santa's little helper.
It's okay if it was Satan's little helper. I like devil and possession stuff that makes me sound very weird, but I'm not into worship or anything like devil worship. I always get into these weird statements where I go down a rabbit hole and it gets worse every time I try to elaborate what I mean. But I'm not into devil worship. I just like those types of movies. But no, Satan's Little Helper, nothing made me like this movie. I didn't like it. Right. It was just not fun. Number 4, Driller Killer. So it made my list too.
Wow. And it is number 4?
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for us to talk about
There are some merits. I wrote down the merits. There are some merits.
Well, I can't wait to talk about this.
I can't wait either. So, number 3, I was so disappointed in this, Blackcoat's Daughter, which is a movie I watched for this past Halloween, 2021. Boring. Slow, so disappointed because I like the actress in it. It's the actress Donald Draper's daughter. Of course, I forgot the actress's name, even though she plays Sabrina on the Netflix show. She's famous.
Melissa Hart?
I don't know if that's her name.
Oh.
But she played Donald Draper's daughter in Mad Men. She plays the lead in Sabrina, and she's in this movie, and I didn't like it. It's like a possession thing, but it took too long. I guess this would be the way you feel about Session 9. Because you thought that was boring. I thought this was, so boring. There was nothing at the end that made you I understand this, or yeah, this is worth it. Whereas Session 9, I think at the end, you're like, oh, there's something at the end, is revealed that at least some people, it makes them like it. I don't know. Anyway, number 2, Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny, which is a movie I watched for my marathon with Nathan. So not with our marathon, but it was I included it in our marathon chat too. So it's a Christmas movie. It's not a horror movie, but it's bad. It's one of those old made-for-TV movies, and there's this, terribly done bunny. It's a bunny costume, and, Santa's stranded on a beach, and the bunny's trying to help him, and there's these terrible shots, terribly edited. There's nothing good about it. But Nathan actually liked it more than Ginger Dead Man.
Really?
Yeah, and I like Ginger Dead Man more than Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny, so we didn't agree on that. But I thought that was funny that we didn't agree. And number 1, Rotten Tail. I can't believe you could rate a movie worse than Rotten Tail.
Shocked. Well, I can't wait.
Nothing will be worse than Rotten Tail. I don't think ever. I don't like Rotten Tail.
Clearly.
As I said in my chat, there's nothing
Rotten
redeeming.
Tail was number 2 on my list. If I had never seen Driller Killer, it would have been number 1.
And you just watched it. Damn, it would have been funny if we had the same number 1. I do want to do some honorable mentions for worst movie. I struggled with maybe putting The Howling on here, which will shock people. Some people love The Howling. It is a good movie. I love Dee Wallace. I just don't like the story. I don't like how it drags. I don't like the one scene around the fire because I feel so bad for Dee Wallace's character that she's getting cheated on. Anyway, I love the werewolf transformation. That's why I didn't make the list. I was like, it's too good to be on this list. It's ridiculous. Don't even, entertain it. So I kind of, thought about it for a second and I said, no. So other worst movies, Ginger Dead Man, even though I kind of laughed. Fat Tuesday. It had merits, though. So that's why I didn't make the top 5, or the bottom 5.
It did, and I guess because I know the person that was in it,
Well, that would be kind of bad to put it in the bottom.
Yeah, but I did like the atmosphere of it.
Yeah.
And I liked the premise of it. I thought the actress who played the killer, did a great job.
She did do a good job. It's just like some execution elements of the film weren't the best. That's all.
Well, and I also like the fact that it was shot in New Orleans.
I did like that too. So that's why it didn't truly make my bottom 5. And then finally, I also thought about putting Someone's Watching Me on the list because it was part of the slasher marathon, but it was a stalker movie. I'm going to come out here and say we have debated what makes a slasher a slasher. I still don't feel, after all of our talks about the different criteria, I still don't feel that Someone's Watching Me fits into the criteria, but that's not why I almost put it on the bottom of my list. It's also because it was just kind of boring. Nothing much happened. John Carpenter directed it.
Which is shocking.
It is. It's like a made-for-TV movie. I think it was even before he did Halloween, or maybe right after, before it hit big. I can't remember, but it was around that time. And also, there was a funny part, though. That's why I didn't make my bottom 5, because there's one part where she, like, screams and takes down a table with her, and I wish I could pull the clip. It's great. I love bad screams and, like, cheesy, like, reactions, and that one had a good cheesy reaction. So that's why I didn't make the bottom 5. Plus, there was, like, movies that were way worse.
Yes, I agree.
Way worse. And welcome, Dana, to the chat. How you doing? Oh, she's recommending a slasher movie to us called Body Count. We'll have to check into that.
I feel a slasher movie is Body Count.
Well, I thought you were recommending it. Oh, she's saying a body count might make the slasher film.
Well, remember we talked about that. They had to have so many kills. It couldn't just be one kill. That's why Hush was one of those movies we were like...
I thought there was more than one in Hush.
I don't know.
You're right. I'm sorry, Dana. I misunderstood what you said. I thought you were naming a movie. She's saying, like, body count helps make a movie a slasher. I think that's a good point there. All right, let's go on to scariest / most disturbing movies. I like this one because it's movies that truly freak us out. And so we're not talking about funny haha. We're not talking about movies we loved. This might not even appear on any other list. It's movies, that's the criteria, that truly freak us out in some way, shape, or form. Right. Whether that just be like an atmosphere, a feeling, or something like a scene that like just makes us look away or kind of get nauseated. All right, so let's go into this. You go first, Kat.
Okay, number 10, Terrifier.
Oh, you have a top 10 for this. Okay.
I did a top 10. Number 10, Terrifier. Number 9, All Hallows Eve. Art the Clown scares the crap out of me. Yeah. That is all I'm going to say about that. I don't care what he's doing. I don't care if he's just standing on a corner. He could give me a flower and it still scares.
Well, he does give gifts.
I know. I'm just saying, he could be doing something really nice and... he is truly terrifying.
I agree.
He is the scariest clown ever. Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 8 is probably going to surprise you. It's Hush. Oh. Because it's the whole premise of not being able to have all your senses.
And then dealing with
having to deal with it. And just recently, I had to go back and watch Walking Dead because I couldn't watch it in real time because of Hurricane Ida. So I subscribed to AMC Plus so I could go ahead and watch the new season. Mm-hmm. There is actually an episode with Connie who is deaf. And it is the most terrifying episode I've seen on The Walking Dead in quite a while. But it's that premise. Like there are literally scenes like in Hush where you are her, you are the character, and you hear nothing, and you're watching all this happening behind her. Yes. The whole scene in the kitchen where he's looking at her through the window, and that's when he's starting to realize that, she can't hear him or whatever. Mm-hmm. That freaked me out. If I knew somebody was watching me and I had no idea and they were that close to me.
That's a good point.
That would freak me out.
That's a good point.
That was scary. And that's something that could really happen.
Yeah,
in real life. Okay. The Ritual. I know you didn't get to see The Ritual. I would recommend it.
I think I've seen it before. Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I have seen it, but not for any of our marathons.
Yeah, it's scary to me. My youngest son, Andrew, actually recommended. He's not a big horror person, so, but he said, I think you'll really like it. It's not it's just the fact of getting turned around and lost in the woods and then coming up. It kind of was like, Blair Witch. Kind of you're stuck in here and then you discover that you're in a place that's really not like it's an evil place. Right. Okay, that's scary to me because I kind of think that could happen. Number 6, the classic Horror Story. I found that disturbing because, again, you've got a situation where these people end up on a trip, and because of circumstances, they end up in the woods. And it's a very twisty-turny kind of movie, so I can't give a lot of details. But the things that happen to these people is grotesque to me and scary. Because, again, I think it could happen.
Yeah.
That would not be out of the realm of possibilities. Number 5, Better Watch Out. Creepy kid. And, again, just, it was one of those twisty-turny things that could happen. Leaves you kind of hanging at the end. Like, is this going to continue?
Yeah.
Number 4, Salem's Lot, 1979 version of Salem's Lot. This movie, even though I rewatched it and I'm like, oh, it's really dated, kind of thing. And it was a made-for-TV movie. But the scene in there of the young boy, it still bothers me today. I'm 52 years old, okay? And it still freaks me out. I can't have like my curtains drawn or like even blinds open or anything.
It's literally had a whole lifetime of impact.
Yes, it has, okay? Even I spent the night at my uncle's house. He lives in St. Louis and owns this big, huge house. And he has transom windows above his bedroom doors or whatever. So, the door can be closed, but you have that transom window. When I had to spend the night there, it freaked me out like having a window.
Right.
And what comes to my mind? Oh, no. Salem's Lot comes to my mind. The little creepy boy wanting to be let in, or whatever.
Not becoming one with nature, enjoying the view. The little boy from Salem's Lot is what comes to the forefront.
It does. It freaks me out still today.
I believe it.
Okay. Number 3, Aftermath.
This intrigues me.
It is. And the reason Aftermath is on here as it's more disturbing than scary is because part of Aftermath is based on a true story. And the part of the true story is what is unbelievable to me and really scary, in my sense. Now, there's a part of it that's kind of unbelievable or whatever, but even that unbelievable part, which is crazy because that part was also in that episode of The Walking Dead. So not only did you have the hush elements, but you had aftermath elements in it. So when I'm telling you, that Walking Dead was like that triggered me reminding me of these two movies.
Wow.
Number 2 is The Children, because I don't know, children are just usually sweet and wonderful, but the way these children are in this movie is very disturbing.
I actually added this movie to my upcoming Christmas list.
I definitely think you'll like it, and I think you'll get that creep vibes from it.
I'm excited.
And then number 1 was Train to Busan.
Yeah.
Because it was scary. I think if somebody took my blood pressure during Train to Busan, it would be like, people would be like, lady, you need to be put on medicine.
Burke and I watched it live together, like in person. I can't even remember why. He was just like around and he came over and I was like, I gotta watch these movies for my marathon. Which ones do you want to watch? He picked out Train to Busan out of my list. And we were watching it and literally we were like yelling at the TV. Like no!
Right.
So like it's definitely makes sure like pulse race and like kind of leaves you on the edge of your seat about what's going to happen, who's going to make it, who's not. I can see that.
And one of my good friends, Simon, that is like one of his top movies. And my husband, who's not really a fan of watching a movie that has subtitles, he liked it. I mean, he and I were like almost crawling on each other the whole time. We're like, oh my God, that guy needs to die. That guy needs to die. Why can't they eat his brains?
I know. God, that guy ruins everything. I hate that guy. So I liked your list. That's a good list of creepy, terrifying movies. And let me read some comments before we move on. Dana says the Babadook weirded her out very badly.
And I've heard of that. I've heard of the Babadook.
Never seen
I have never seen it.
It's good.
Is it something that I could watch for Christmas marathon, or do I need to wait for another one?
I think it is wintry. I have to look that up. It's been a long time, but I believe it might be like set in cold times. But let me like relook at that.
Okay.
And let you know.
Look, Ceci says, I love Art the Clown from All Hallows Eve. Loved him in Terrifier. He was so creepy. Okay, we need to ask you a question. Did you prefer...
Yeah.
Yes, because, that was a big discussion
we
had.
Terrifier or
All Hallows Eve.
Which one was your favorite out of the two, if you had to choose?
Yeah, because we had a big discussion about this.
It's going to be a release soon, like in the coming week and a half.
Well, yesterday we did a chat talking about our first group of movies that we watched for our Halloween marathon.
Including All Hallows Eve.
Yes, and we have a friend named Ray who's he's actually the person that recommended Terrifier to us a while back. So we included it on our summer slasher list. And he weighed in. He sent in a clip to us and told us his thoughts about Terrifier. So then we figured, okay, we're going to get Ray to get him to watch All Hallows Eve because he had not watched it. And we want to know if he liked All Hallows Eve better or worse than
and we'll let you find out what he said.
So his clip's going to be also included in that.
And we choose a favorite too. And Dana's choosing a favorite right now, by the way. She's saying All Hallows Eve liked the cheesy storyline.
Yeah.
It had like a 90s vibe because of the VHS. Like that, like was a really nostalgic touch that I loved personally.
Well, the thing about it, Dana, this is what the whole thing was. It's anthology related, and then you had a story within the story, and then what happens at the end of the story is super creepy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in Terrifier, he's so disturbing to me. Like, I told Kelsi when we watched Terrifier, I had to pause it, literally, when we got to certain scenes. And I'm like, Kelsi, I don't know if I can finish watching this movie.
Yeah.
I hate to say this. I mean...
But then you did.
It was freaking me out. And I did. And I was like, you know, texting her all the way
That
about
was an
this.
extreme reaction.
But I told her, I said... I wouldn't be a good horror person. I mean, a horror movie character because, first of all, when I would have seen Art the Clown, I would have driven on my flat tire. I would have driven drunk. And I would never have used the bathroom. I would have used the bathroom in a bottle in my car.
Yeah.
Before I would have done any
This is
of
how
the things
scared Kat is of Terrifier. Like, this is what you'd actually look like if you saw him. I love that face. I told Kat, can you take a selfie where you look scared? She does a lot better job than me, by the way. But that is a good scared looking face. Right. So that's what.
Yes. Oh, we have another person joining us. Hey.
Hi Ben. How you doing? We're just talking about scariest, most disturbing movies that we watched for our movie marathons that we've done over the last year, which includes like a pool of over 200 movies of each of us.
Oh,
combined.
okay. And we misunderstood. Ceci says, I haven't seen All Hallows Eve yet.
Oh, only knows him from Terrifier. Well, you should watch All Hallows Eve because some people like it better than Terrifier, whereas other people like Terrifier better. And it'd be interesting to see your opinion, which you like better. But of course, art is scary in both.
Right. And something that you really need to know, if you don't already know this, there is a different actor that plays Art the Clown in All Hallows Eve. And, you know, from Terrifier.
Yes, it is two different actors.
It's two different actors. And we even actually talk about, you know, his portrayal and our thoughts about Mike Gianelli in the first one.
Yes.
So,
oh, here's an interesting comment about Terrifier. Ben Grimm says... He was at Texas Frightmare Weekend, and they did an interview with the Terrifier guys, said the new one should come out in February, and it'll be over 2 hours long.
Well, we're looking forward to it. I would never, ever, in a million years, would think that I would ever watch anything related to Art the Clown after watching Terrifier, because I was really disturbed by it.
Yeah.
And we actually have a whole chat just about Terrifier.
Yeah, as I showed you guys, that's the thumbnail of it. I would recommend going and checking it out because we do such an analytical dive onto the movie. Like we totally break it down. And I was really proud of like our discussion.
Yes, and I think after, you know, talking to Ray and doing research on it and learning more about it, it just got us thinking, okay, All Hallows Eve would be perfect. We were really keeping our fingers crossed that Terrifier 2 would come out for Halloween, for our Halloween marathon, but we found out that it wasn't going to come out until 2022 thanks to COVID. So we are looking so forward. So thank you so much, Ben, for letting us know that we should be looking for that in February.
The poster looks really good.
Yeah, and I saw the trailer. The trailer is actually really good.
That to me?
I think I did.
I don't think I watched it yet. I gotta watch it.
You
I gotta
need
watch
to,
it after
because
this.
it really is. I think it looks good. And we talked about this. I really do think that Damien Leone he's evolving. You know, I don't want to give too much away about what I said, so you'll have to check out our movie chat about how I describe, Art the Clown's evolution.
Yes.
But
and the movie evolution of like the different movies. Yes. So yeah, guys, stay tuned for that chat. It's going to be up in about like a week and a half or so, maybe a little sooner.
She said he did such a good job at doing creepy pantomime stuff. Yeah, I think that's what makes Art the Clown off-putting is the fact that he's also a mime. He does everything, and then he does just things like squeezing his little horn as he's riding a little tiny
tiny
bike, wearing
bike.
his tiny hat. It's
the
just
saw. That part. And that's when something physical happening. It's nothing really about art, but like that part's terrible. Ben says, I believe Art the Clown is a new horror icon. You actually said that.
Yes. Yeah. I actually saw his mask in the party store that is in Hammond where I live. There was an Art the Clown, and I took a picture of it, and
I was like, I can't believe it. And actually, Ben's saying, there's lots of merch around of Art, and also he says he's seen people get tattoos of him. I could not have that on my body.
No,
I would not want to look and be like, no. But I mean, people get like tattoos of like Jason and Freddy and Michael. So I guess I understand. In that way, he's a new horror icon. I personally just wouldn't want to look at his face.
No, he's just disgusting.
He
and
is.
then Dana makes another recommendation to us, Tales from the Dark Side.
We'll have to make a note of that. Newt.
Yeah.
We'll have to make a newt of it. A note.
A newt to put in her cauldron.
Ridiculous.
So Babadook and Tales from the Dark Side.
And she also said one more up here. She also said, I'm going to have to write these down after we're done, The Sacrament.
Okay,
as well.
Yeah,
so we'll have to check out all those. Thank you so much. I've seen Babadook, and it is good. All right, so let's go on to my scariest and most disturbing movies watched throughout this year. All right, so number 5, Train to Busan, like you had on your list. Number 4, Terrifier, because yes, it was creepy. As we've been talking about, art really freaks me out. And Terrifier specifically, honestly, I will give you a spoiler, All Hallows Eve did not make my top 5 scariest because I think Terrifier is the scarier film in my opinion in terms of the torture that's that goes on in the movie. That to me as a woman too, that really disturbed me more than anything in All Hallows Eve.
Yes.
But I honestly, to kind of jump ahead, and you'll see, I say why I liked All Hallows Eve better though, and I'll say why in our movie chat. But that's a sneak preview. I personally liked All Hallows Eve better. But in terms of scariness, Terrifier. So number 3 scariest for me, either. I can never pronounce this. Dagon, which is an H.P. Lovecraft type of story, and it's a movie, and I watched it for my Halloween marathon last year in 2020. A guy gets his face cut off, and it's like really realistic, so it's not really a spoiler because I'm not going to tell you who gets his face cut off, but his face gets cut off, and I almost barfed. I literally almost threw up. I felt nauseated. It was that realistic.
Really?
I had to look away. I was really put off.
You could not watch it full on. It was that bad.
I couldn't. But then again, okay, now like even cheesy, like not that like, not like that Scare Many movie. I can't even speak.
I'm so
messed up from the face, the face getting cut off. There are movies now that aren't that extreme. There are movies now that aren't very extreme that I'm like squeamish about now. Like me and Paul were watching Halloween Kills and nothing major happens. There's a part I'm looking at like this, and he's like, what's wrong with you? You watch horror movies all the time. What is wrong with you? Who are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm getting more squeamish as time goes.
Really?
The more we watch, I'm like getting more creeped out by things. But anyway, so a face gets cut off, so that's number 3. Number 2, and I can't believe this didn't make your list. I'm so surprised. So it's not the whole movie, but it's a short in the movie. It's an anthology film called Holidays, the Easter short.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
There's a really creepy creature in it, and also a finger gets inserted into a wound.
Oh yeah.
And that made me want to throw up too. That was really gross. Yes, that was really off-putting. And number 1, the most disturbing, I wouldn't say it's scary, it's more disturbing, and as a woman it scares me too, like the whole idea of this, Better Watch Out.
Oh, yeah.
And it left me so angry. It was basically one of the most emotional movies in terms of my reaction after watching it.
Well,
because I got mad
and it's
at parts
the type of movie you really can't talk about.
No, I can't say anything.
If we say something, like we didn't talk about spoilers when we talked about the movie because we want people to be able to watch it.
Right.
It's the same thing. I mean, we've had several movies like that where you really can't say because you don't want to ruin it for people.
Yeah.
Like the surprise is so good, you know, whatever. But Yeah, that is a creepy movie.
It made me feel a lot of things, but mainly disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here are my honorable mentions that are still scary but didn't make the top 5. So Strange Behavior, I think it's also called Dead Kids. It's got 2 names. There's a scene with a needle. So most of it's cheesy, and there's a great dance scene where they're dancing at a Halloween party to they got a choreographed dance to this song called Lightning Strikes. Oh, it's such a great scene. Anyway, that's a fun, great, feel-good scene. But the other scene that's not feel-good is the needle goes into a freaking eye, right into it. Oh my god, I wanted to throw up again. Eyes make me want to pass out, and I touch my eye every day for putting in contacts and taking them out. But like a needle. I could never get laser surgery because the idea of my eye being held open.
Well, you do realize that if you had eye surgery, they would put you to sleep.
No, you're awake.
What?
I heard you're awake. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That would be terrible.
I know. That's why I will never get it.
I'm surprised anybody would get it.
I think it's because you have to be awake or your eyes would roll back.
What?
They numb you, but...
Oh, heck no.
I know.
I mean,
am I wrong, guys? But I'm pretty sure I've heard or read that you have to have your eyes clamped open, and I think you're awake.
Oh, no. Just the clamping of the eyes would freak me out.
I know, me too. That's why I can't get it. It's terrible. I can't do it. Ben says, creepiest Easter bunny ever from Holidays.
Yes.
Yes. So also, another eye thing, as I mentioned earlier, the resurrected. Cutting of an eye.
Yeah, Michelle's husband, Richard, would hate that.
So I'm not that bad about, like, seeing eyes on things. Like, I've got an eyeball shower curtain, ironically, right now. And Richard would hate it.
Yes.
Our friend's husband, Richard, who's also our friend.
Doesn't like anything to do with eyes.
But when I see eyes getting touched, like, with needles or cut up, that, like, sends me over the edge. And finally, All Hallows Eve is my honorable mention, because although I thought that Terrifier was scarier, I do think that All Hallows Eve is disturbing at parts. And to go back to something that Sensei is saying, his extreme bone structure is very unsettling. I said that too. It's the cheekbones. They are so inset.
Yeah, but you're going to see something different with that in All Hallows Eve, because it's a little bit different how he looks in the first story on the VHS. He's more clown-like, and he has a fuller face.
He's not as scary in the first story. You have to keep watching throughout
and then see how it progresses. So that's what I'm saying. There's an evolution to Art the Clown, with how he looks.
Ben says, eye surgery, you're awake the whole time. I told you.
That is awful.
It is awful. Imagine a needle headed right towards your eyeball.
No,
I know.
I can't
and that's
even
what
imagine.
is shown in Strange Behavior. Straight to your eyeball.
I couldn't even act that part. I wouldn't be able to do that.
I know.
Like, I could see like being terrified, but if they really had to put the needle coming to me as the actor, I don't think I could.
I don't think I could do it either. Anything like that, like, really freaks me out. So yeah, I can't get eye surgery. The clamps alone. Anyway, that freaks me out. That's stuff that, like, disturbs me. I really had fun talking about what creeps us out. That was cool.
I know.
That was a lot of fun.
Well, now you've got me curious, because my husband had to have a cataract repaired. I'm wondering if he had to be awake for that.
Ask him. I want to know the answer.
I need to.
Yeah, that's really.
I wasn't there for that.
It freaks me out. God.
And it happened a while ago.
Really?
Yeah, he had trauma to his eye.
So did my dad.
A stick poked him in his eye. I think he was riding his bike or something.
Did his retina get detached? My dad, his retina got detached.
But it caused him to have a cataract because it was an injury to the eye. And so now he's got, like, this lens in his eye.
See, all that creeps me out. All of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like my eyes.
Everyone is agreeing with the eye stuff. I know.
I will wear my glasses until I die. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to wear contacts and glasses forever. So that's all right with me. I like my glasses a lot, even though I don't wear them much anymore because they always get dirty so easily and loose. I got to get a new pair, but I love my big purple glasses. But anyway, I really like those.
They're cute.
We should have counted how many chats I wore glasses and how many wore contacts.
That's true.
And our hairdos and stuff.
Oh,
mine was always the same. Yours changed.
No, mine changes drastically. There's one that I look like I just came in out of rain.
I didn't notice that.
Yes, when I was looking at that, I'm like, what
is going with
my head? No, it's. I don't know what the deal is. So my hair is like just
I know this is like a dumb observation or a silly one, I guess. Not dumb. It's a silly observation. I noticed all the different outfits you were wearing. I was like, oh, it's cool. We're wearing something different in each little, like, chat. I like that we managed to wear, because I actually repeat wearing stuff all the time. Like, you know, I don't,
know.
I'm not a big fashionable person.
I try to wear something different. I consciously try
I do consciously try too, because otherwise, like, I do repeat a lot of clothing. But I just thought it was fun seeing all the different chats, my different thumbnails, and all our different outfits, and my hair was always the same. But I had different earrings for some of them. So we just finished talking about disturbing, terrifying, truly creepy movies that just left a scar. Now let's talk about something completely different, the cheesiest movies. Movies that may or may not have made us laugh. Now, I want to hear about your criteria before we dive into this, because for me, the cheesy movies, it's a good thing. I liked most of these. I will specify if I did not for a reason. The cheese factor for these movies actually made me enjoy them more. How did you make your list?
Well, the cheesy movies for me were cheesy to the point that they were so absurd, or just like...
Because there could be cheese bad, cheese good.
Well, this is cheese bad.
Oh, so this is cheese bad.
I mean, it had some... I mean, like, you laughed because some of the movie was absurd.
Right.
But, I don't know. I mean, I would say out of the movies that I'm going to list, 2 of them, I would say people should check them out, you know, because they have a little bit of merit. But the other ones...
so it's kind of a mix of cheese good, but also bad movies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right, take it away.
Okay. Number 5 was from my zombie marathon. It was KL Zombie.
Yeah, but you told me I should watch it.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is cheesy in a funny way. I mean, there's like a bike. You know how you have a dance off? Like a bike.
Was it a scooter off?
Scooter off.
I couldn't remember. I remember the chat where you said something about that. Also, was there a hockey stick in that one?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. It's a foreign film. I think it's from Malaysia.
I can't remember what you had said, but yeah, it's definitely foreign.
I think so. But the whole premise is hilarious. Because even the antidote that saves the people from, you know, like to turn them back into normal people after they become zombies is hilarious.
Yeah.
I would say if you like cheese and you like absurd things and you just want to laugh because it's so bad, whatever.
So you would recommend that
KL Zombie, I would. It's my number 5, okay? Number 4, Leprechaun in the Hood.
This would be in a bad way.
In a bad way.
Yeah.
Yes. Like.
So you would not recommend?
I would not really.
Okay.
Now the rap at the end is kind of funny. I mean,
well, that's what made me want to see it.
He does rap with a bunch of hoochie mamas in a bar. So if you like that, and if you're a fan of Ice-T and just want to see something prior to him making it big on Law and Order SVU, check that out. Number 3, Driller Killer.
In a bad way.
Yeah, I mean, super cheesy. Even to the cheese on the top of that pizza he eats.
Yeah, there's a pizza scene. We'll discuss it.
Yes,
it's warranted. Like, discussion is warranted.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, on that cheese.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cheese pizza.
Yeah.
Actually, it was pepper pizza. Anyway, go ahead. Gross. It was disgusting peppers. Anyway, go ahead. I didn't like that pizza.
I know you didn't. Okay, number 2.
I told Kat about the pizza before she even watched the movie.
Yeah, and so I was anticipating it the whole time. Number 2, Christmas Evil.
Good or bad?
It really is. It's absurd.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's kind of hard to place a good or bad on it for you. For me, it's definitely good.
I would say watch it. I'm gonna have to rewatch it because we're gonna do a challenge. I think we should do a challenge.
Yeah, for those joining late live, we are going to do a challenge for Christmas. I think it's gonna be our official Christmas challenge. Because we've got this debate on, is Christmas Evil good or not, or are you on the fence about it, like, in terms of opinion on it. So we're gonna, like, say, everyone, watch Christmas Evil if you haven't already seen it. If you have, you can already vote.
And then she's gonna put a poll out, and then you can vote about it. Okay, number 1, Rotten Tail.
Thank goodness. It was cheesy. It was the cheesiest.
Yes, that's why it's number 1.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, so I didn't do, like, you almost did, like, bad movies again. I went the just cheesy route. It didn't mean it was bad, per se. So we did different criteria, but I understand why it's your number 1.
I mean, but there was funny. I mean, there were funny parts in it that you laughed
pellets,
because it was so absurd. Oh, there was quite a few in all of the movies. I mean, you got the scooter off in KL Zombie, Leprechaun in the Hood. I mean, the things he does, his weed smoking, his rap at the end. Driller Killer had some...
But did you laugh out loud at Leprechaun in the Hood, or did you roll your eyes?
There was some I did. I mean, I did roll my eyes and then I laughed because I'm like, I can't. Well, I laughed at myself for even actually watching it.
So you did laugh, though, while watching?
Somewhat.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know, because during Rotten Tail, I honestly don't think I laughed. But one time, maybe with the pellets. Otherwise, I laughed when I was discussing it with you, but, like, during the film, I did not laugh. I don't know. I didn't like it. No. I'm sorry I keep coughing. I keep feeling like I have to.
Okay, so that's
Ben
mine.
says he loves Christmas Evil!
Ben!
The main actor is Fiona Apple's dad. I had no idea.
Oh, I had no idea either.
Wow, that's a great tidbit. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, because it was my number one, in case you came here late, it was my number one favorite movie out of 164 movies I watched over the last year for our marathons.
That is truly amazing to me.
That warrants a rewatch alone, I think. Anyway, I can't believe it's my number one, and it's like on your, like, it's not on your worst list, but it almost made it.
But it is on my cheesiest movie list.
Yes, well, that's okay. There is some cheese, I will admit. All right, so I'm going to go into my cheesiest movies watched. And again, I'm taking the viewpoint of it being a positive thing, and I kind of like
I can imagine what's on this list.
Yes. All right, so first I'll give honorable mentions. Magic, the movie with Anthony Hopkins, because, oh my God, I talked about this at length with, actually not with Kat. I have the chat up right now on my YouTube. I re-edited it and uploaded it. It was like, I think the title's like Halloween movie discussion from 2020 or something. Or horror movie discussion from 2020. But yeah, there's a whole reason why. There's a big argument with the woman, and she's like, I'm scared, because he's trying to read her mind. Anyway, it's very over the top and really corny, but there's a good mystery to the movie. Silver Bullet, of course, is cheesy, but in a good way. And Midnight Hour, which is a movie we haven't talked about. I watched it for Halloween 2021. It has LeVar Burton in it.
What?
There's a choreographed dance and song, which I loved. It was cheesy in a great way.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you could watch it for free on YouTube.
I love LeVar Burton.
Me too. And he was very corny in this. In a good way. Very cheesy. All right, so number 5 cheesiest movie watched, Christmas Evil. So it's on my cheesy list, but in a positive way. Number 4, Alone in the Dark. Why? Mailman scene. And guys, stay tuned again for our best of compilation video that I'm going to upload. It has all of my favorite, funniest parts from all of our chats, and the mailman scene is one of the things we include in the best of video. Yeah, the mailman scene.
It is pretty funny.
I love the mailman scene. A guy goes flying, and it's just so over the top. Number 3, Night of the Lepus, was one of my Easter films for our holiday horror marathon, and I stretched because it's technically not about Easter, it's just about bunnies, but it's so badly done that you can't help but laugh. Oh, it was cheese to the max. Number 2, Leprechaun, because like I said in our best of chat, I took the clip, a guy gets pogoed to death, plus a lot of other stuff happens. That's absurd.
And Dana says that she always watches a Leprechaun marathon for St. Patrick's Day, and the first ones are the best ones.
I agree. I mean, I haven't seen the rest, but from what you said, I probably think it's correct. Right. Your observation is true. I will say, so Cameron has an underrated video on his channel. I'm talking about Library Macabre. So if you guys don't already follow Cameron, go check out Library Macabre. He has a wonderful video where he marathoned for last St. Patty's Day all of the Leprechaun movies. Oh, wow. And he like vlogged it.
Oh,
you've got to go see it. That out. Yeah, you got to see his thoughts on Leprechaun.
I would love to see what his thoughts are.
He even said like he spent so much time filming and editing it, and it got like so much less views than it usually got.
Really?
Because it's not about books. I think his audience is books. But anyway, go check it out if you guys like horror movies. It's a super underrated video on his channel, and I love the experience watching him.
And Ben's suggesting Zombievers.
Oh yeah, I've heard things about that. And there's more cheese. Like Dana said, Fright Night is good cheese to her. Ben says Chopping Mall, which I've never seen, ironically, but I have a poster of it.
I'm just gonna say, I like the poster. Ben, Kelsi is queen of cheese and corn. She likes anything that's corny or cheesy.
Kat really doesn't, though.
I'm not really a big fan. Some parts of movies that are cheesy I like.
It creates great discussion.
I know it does.
It does. That's why you should keep watching them, even though your eyeballs hurt after, at least for you.
Well, for Leprechaun in the Hood, I wanted to kind of scrub my eyeballs.
I know. Twice.
Oh, actually, Rotten Tail, too.
Oh, wait. Rotten Tail was the one you wanted to scrub twice, I think.
Yeah.
There was one of the ones where you're like, I wanted to scrub it and scrub it again.
Anything worse than Leprechaun in the Hood, and then Rotten Tail entered my life.
In the same marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was 2 bad picks for that marathon.
I find that our holiday marathon as a whole had the most cheese.
So it had like some of your least favorites in it.
Well,
concentrated.
It was a lot more low budget
like with Fat Tuesday and tons of
I
low
watched
budget
Memorial
films.
Day, which
was like a student film. Yeah, I remember. You're like, it's a student film.
I'm like, this looks really like a student film, and sure enough, it was.
It was. So yeah, I will say, I guess for our holidays chat, I mean, I'm sure you might think of it as one of our worst, least favorite marathons. I had a lot of gems around the holidays.
Well,
with the
I mean,
cheese.
I enjoyed that we did it. It was a little too long, but
it was too long, and I didn't like how I like when a movie's surrounding the holiday, and that's what we're gonna talk about things we'll do differently, and then we'll get there when we get there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a change. Like the marathon dragged out, and but it was awesome to see different movies around different holidays that were not Christmas or Halloween. All right, so my number one cheesiest movie I watched, Ginger Dead Man, starring Gary Busey as a talking, weirdly sized gingerbread guy.
I forgot that he was the Ginger Dead Man.
Yeah. He's like this big. Why isn't he this big? Or human size. They gave him the weirdest size to be. I don't know. Anyway, it's so bad. It's so terrible, but I did laugh.
Yes.
And I was like, this can't be real.
Actually, you did a lot of things surrounding Ginger Dead Man.
I did. I baked gingerbread cookies and a whole bunch of other shit. In a good way. It was awesome. Jack Frost for Christmas Horror. I've been debating on that one. I've researched that one a little bit. It's kind of like extreme. I don't know if you'd like it. I've researched Jack Frost, Ben. I don't know if Kat would even entertain this, and I don't know if I'd truly like it either. But one day maybe. Just look it up after.
Okay.
We'll see about it.
This is not the one with Michael Keaton, clearly.
No, it's worse. Because the Michael Keaton one I heard is corny too.
Oh, okay.
Or at least I thought I heard
is it bad in the sense of
it's supposed to be bad.
Oh, okay.
But it might be like Rotten Tail level in terms of some of the content. Okay. So that's why I'm I don't know if you'd like it.
Yeah, because our holiday marathon actually got shortened because after seeing Rotten Tail, we had to look up
we cut out movies.
Yes, because we were worried about Hanukkah.
Literally
and
nudity the entire time.
The Father's Day one.
Yeah, Extreme Revenge. Yeah. I mean, we just kind of weeded it out a little bit just because we were like, these don't look that fun.
Yeah.
No. All right, so now let's go to top rewatches. I'm excited about this one. So, of course, we watched some movies that we had already seen again for parts of our marathon because I think that's always fun. And as we said earlier in this very chat, sometimes it's a really good idea to do that because you've either forgotten elements of it from the first time you saw it, or you just are at a different point in your life and your opinion changes. So, Kat, take it away.
Yeah, and so my top rewatches, sometimes I put a rewatch on my list because it happened to be the first time you were watching it. So what I did was I went through all 7 marathons and picked one of my favorite rewatches from that specific one and then added 3 more to make the 10, my top 10, and then I do have some honorable mentions. So for my number 10, Salem's Lot, the 1979 movie. Number 9, Terror Train. That was a rewatch for me. I know you liked it.
I couldn't remember that was a rewatch.
That was a rewatch. I saw Terror Train when it first came out.
Right.
So it was actually, seeing it again. I remembered some parts of it, The Magician, David Copperfield was in it.
That was
I had remembered that. But I had forgotten about the twist and everything in it. So that was good. So it had been quite a while. Number 8 was Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Number 7, I Know What You Did Last Summer. 6, Gremlins.
Yeah,
that was that rewatch. That was a fun rewatch. Number 5, Silver Bullet. Number 4, Grease from a musical marathon. I love Grease. But I had forgotten about the weird ending, which mimicked the weird ending in Christmas Evil.
I think we even mentioned that. Yes, that's one chat I haven't rewatched.
Yes, that was one of them. Number 3, Hocus Pocus. And what was wonderful about watching Hocus Pocus from our rewatch was I was able to see it in the theater. COVID, had hit us and the movie theater was just starting to reopen and they were playing a lot of older movies. Mm-hmm. So I was able to watch it in the theater again, which was awesome in my opinion. I also got to watch Muppets Christmas Carol in the theater and Nightmare Before Christmas. I remember in the theater because they were bringing a bunch of things back. And
Rocky Horror, you had a whole big experience with that too.
Yes, I did.
For your Halloween last year.
That was at the Columbia Theater. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So number 2, Love Actually, which is one of my favorite movies plus Christmas time. And number 1, and you shouldn't be surprised by this, Shaun of the Dead.
I'm not surprised.
I absolutely
love
knew
that'd be your number 1 rewatch.
I love it. I could watch Shaun of the Dead all the time. Not just once a year. Honorable mentions, Slither. Okay. Love Slither. Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp. The Haunted Mansion. I really enjoyed seeing The Haunted Mansion after
that was
so
one of my
many
duds
years.
for last
I know, but
year.
I loved it. And also The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Great film. I love rewatching that too. All right, so that leads me into my top 5 rewatches, and I have quite a few honorable mentions. So number 5, Sweeney Todd, Demon Barber of Fleet Street. We watched this not for a horror marathon. We watched this, or at least I did. I don't think you had it on your list. I watched it as part of my musical marathon, and I really enjoyed seeing it again.
Musical.
Oh, it's so good. The music is so catchy, and I watched it with Paul, and he actually mostly liked it. It's hard to tell with him, but he was like, yeah, it was pretty good. Like, you know, it'd be better if they weren't whispering. And I think he said that at one point.
And what I loved about it was Johnny Depp did his own singing.
Yes. They both did.
Yeah, but what I loved about it was because I had seen Cry Baby.
Oh, yeah.
And Johnny Depp did not do his own singing.
I forgot about that.
In Cry Baby.
That was part of our musical marathon chat, too, where she talked about Cry Baby. We talked about Grease, like she said. We talked about so much across the universe, as you mentioned earlier in this chat. Also, I mean, just so many good things. I talked about Wizard of Oz a little bit. There was things that I didn't even get to touch on, like Willy Wonka.
Right.
I watched it, but I didn't even get to really discuss it because our chat was so long.
Which is one of your favorite. We probably could have done 2 chats.
I wish we would have, because I feel like we didn't cover everything for that chat. But it was a fun marathon for sure. Like I said, it was our only non-horror marathon.
Yes.
And looking back, like that was kind of unique. Like.
Yeah.
Because everything else on this list is horror, but except for that one marathon topic. All right, so number 4, one of my favorite rewatches was Monster Squad because I didn't remember how much I liked it, and I watched it with my mom and dad.
Who fell asleep in the middle of
it.
They
did. But it was still fun. It was still a good time.
Spoiler, I fell asleep in it also.
I know. She did not like it like I did. Whatevs. Number 3 favorite rewatch, Happy Birthday to Me, which is a very kind of underrated, not very well known, I would even consider it kind of like a slasher, but really there's different, it's not really with knives or anything. You could debate if it's a slasher or not, but it's a great horror movie. And there's a good mystery to it. It had been many years since I had seen it, so I almost forgot the entire plot. I forgot what was revealed at the end, and so it was kind of like seeing it for the first time in a way. So that's why it's on my top rewatch list. Number 2, Krampus. I loved it. I had seen it in the theater, so it was a rewatch for me. It had made your favorite of your new watches.
Yes, because it was a new watch for me, and I don't know. I might rewatch some of my movies for Christmas.
I'm tempted too, so I've got to redo my list because right now it's at 25 and it's all new horror, not any old repeated horror. And now I want to watch Christmas Evil, so I'm gonna rework my list. But number 1, favorite rewatch of all the movies I've watched for all of our marathons, In the Mouth of Madness, which I watched for Halloween 2020. So good. I had forgotten everything about it. I remember seeing it the first time. I must not have been paying attention because I didn't think it was all that great. I had to be distracted. Seeing it the second time was like seeing it
with new eyes.
Yeah, and it was like my universe was changed. It was so good. I believe it's Carpenter, isn't it? I think it is. I'll look that up. I can't remember for some reason. But it's one of the most underrated Carpenter films, if it is Carpenter. I'm like saying that, but I'm pretty sure it is.
While you're looking at that up, I'm going to look in the comments for a second. Ben says, "Oh man, Ginger Dead Man 2 Passion of the Crust." That is hilarious for a title. Is so good. I love horror movies where they are making horror movies in the movie. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Santa Sleigh. Dana says Santa Sleigh is an awful movie. LOL.
Yeah, that's on a lot of top Christmas horror movie lists, Santa Sleigh, and I don't think I want to watch it. Or Santa Sleigh. I don't know if it's plural or not, but or possessive or not. But yeah, I don't want to watch that one.
And then Ben tells us Jack Frost was Shannon Elizabeth's first movie. And then Little Shop of Horrors is my favorite horror musical. Newsies is my favorite non-horror musical. Which Little Shop of Horrors, I have not ever seen that, and I probably would love it.
Oh, yeah, and there's different versions, but, like, the musical one is the one with, I think Rick Moranis is in it. Yeah, I haven't seen it in years.
Isn't Steve Martin in it also?
Yes, I believe so.
I'll have to check that out.
I used to own the black and white version, which is non-musical, I believe. But, yeah, I gotta rewatch that one because it's been, like, so many years I wouldn't even remember anything about it except who's in it. But if we ever do a musical marathon again, I'm not sure if we'll do it this year. We'll see. We'll see. We might spread it out, but we'll talk about that. But yeah, John Carpenter did direct In the Mouth of Madness. I was right.
Okay.
I doubted myself, but I knew I was right deep down.
Check and see.
So good. It was like the first time. It it felt great watching it. My universe was like expanded in terms of movies. I was like, I love this. So it had to be number one in terms of top rewatches. Honorable mentions: Ghostbusters, never a bad time. I could watch that movie like you with Shaun of the Dead. I could watch it 1,000 times and love it every time. I rewatched Hellraiser for 2020's Halloween marathon.
Such a good movie.
So great. Nightmare Before Christmas, just like you, and also Halloween Town for this year, for this Halloween, was a rewatch, and I loved it. Also, special shout out when I rewatched Pee-wee's Christmas special. I really liked it because I got to sing along with my dad. It was Dad, my mom, and Paul and me watched it like last year on Christmas. I think it was on Christmas. And it was just such a fun time. And Paul was getting annoyed at me and my dad saying the lines. And he's like, are we going to watch the movie or are you guys going to talk the whole time? And we were like, we need to say the lines. So anyway, we loved that. And that was really special because of that. And Session 9 and People Under the Stairs did not make my favorite rewatch list only because two people actually didn't like it, and it made me sad, and it kind of like was like hindering the rewatch experience. So Paul and Kat didn't like Session 9, and Paul didn't really like People Under the Stairs.
Yeah, but I did tell you, which
your opinion might change. Yes.
My opinion may change. I do think I need to rewatch People Under the Stairs because I do like Wes Craven, and after doing some research for our chat and finding out some information, I'm like, maybe I need to give it another chance.
Well, so those are movies that I rewatched that I personally liked, but it's just like the people around me didn't really like them
I am
as
not
much.
Ever going to rewatch Session 9.
I know.
I hate to tell you that.
I'm so sad. I could cry. But anyway, that's why it's not on my top rewatches, just because of like the people like in the nebulous around me was just like, we didn't like it. And they were calling it garbage to me and stuff.
I said rubbish.
Paul said garbage, but still, anyway.
Ben says Steve Martin plays the dentist.
Oh, yes.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, definitely in our future musical marathon.
Steve Martin a lot.
Yeah, Little Shop of Horrors will definitely be on that list for future musicals. All right, and finally, I don't know if you made any notes for this one. Movies you changed your opinion on after rewatching.
I only picked one movie, and that was Nightbreed.
And we talk about this at length, so we're not going to go into it, but yeah.
And it's basically because I had read Cabal and then watched Nightbreed right after. So that really is the only one. I'm not going to go into details as why, because we talked about it at length yesterday when we
so you guys will see
recorded.
that in an upcoming chat if you want to look at our upcoming video we're going to release soon.
Sorry, controversial opinion. I hated Session 9. I'm sorry.
That's not controversial. It seems to be the norm.
Dana, don't be sorry at all, because I agree with you.
Yeah, Juan from Plagued by Visions, Dana, also didn't like it that much. And neither did my boyfriend, and neither did Kat. So it seems to be like you guys are the norm. Like, what the hell? Whatever, it's fine.
And Ashley says that she loves the Subspecies movie series by Full Moon Productions. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so movies I changed my opinion on after rewatching. There are actually more than one. So In the Mouth of Madness, as I described, was one of my favorite rewatches because my opinion changed. I thought I didn't like it that much. Then, now all of a sudden I love it after rewatching it. So my opinion completely did like a 180. All right, Nightbreed, same reason as you. I Am Legend, loved the movie. Seen it a billion times. Rewatched it for our zombie marathon and realized I still like it, but like I'm a little disappointed with the effects.
We did talk about that when we talked about
I could not get over the effects. I could not get over it. It kind of hindered my enjoyment of the rewatch. So my opinion changed. It must have been 5-10 years since I saw it. I didn't realize how drastically I would change my opinion.
Well, a lot has changed when it comes to special effects since then. You know, could you imagine if they would remake it now? But I can't imagine them remaking it unless Will Smith is in it.
I know. I mean, I love the casting. I love the acting. It's just the CGI,
bothered
people.
You.
Oh, so much. And that's why I changed my opinion on it. Cats, for our musical marathon, I rewatched the movie musical version of Cats. And I love... There are songs that I love in it still, even after rewatching it, but I didn't realize how many songs I actually hated, and I really wanted to fast forward. Like, I was rewatching it for our marathon, and I was like, I really feel like I can't fast forward to be cheating.
Right.
But I wanted to. Like, some songs I just did not like, so I couldn't remember that there was so many in there that, like, I just was like, about. And then finally, The Blob with Steve McQueen. Because it's so bad. It's one of my dad's favorite movies, and it's so cheesy, and I cannot buy McQueen as, like, a teenager.
Well, I need to rewatch it, because I remember watching that as a kid. That and,
Me too.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and all those black and white films with the Universal monsters and stuff. I used to love watching those.
Me too.
They would come on, like, on a Sunday afternoon, and I would watch them, like after Abbott and Costello and Shirley Temple and all that kind of stuff, and... to me, in my mind, The Blob is one of those great films, like, The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
No, I know,
something.
And that's what I thought, but like my opinion completely changed. I rewatched this. I even told my dad, I was like, Dad, I rewatched The Blob and it's terrible. And he's like, what? Blasphemy! I mean, he didn't say that, but like it was kind of like that. So yeah, I think I hurt his feelings because my opinion changed. Just like you guys hurt my feelings about.
You hurt your opinion?
No, you guys hurt my feelings about Session 9 with your opinion on it. All right, so that's all of our movie talk. Basically, let's talk a little bit about books now, because we didn't just watch movies for all these marathons. For some of the marathons, we read books, too.
Yeah, we sure did.
And we're going to talk right now about our favorite books from all of our marathons combined. So you've got a top list. Why don't you take it away?
Yeah, I only did a top 5, not really thinking that I had read books also for Zombie, and I forgot about one of my books for Christmas. So maybe it's like a top 6 list.
Yeah.
Okay. So from number 6, I would say Santa's Twin by Dean Koontz. It's a really fabulous
it's wonderful
picture book.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was written by Dean Koontz, which he is a horror writer, and it's not really a horror book in the sense.
There's creepy stuff
There
in
is
it.
creepy stuff in it, but it's not, horrific, like some of his novels would be for adults. But really a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to pronounce this correctly, but Krampusnacht.
We in our chat, you couldn't pronounce it either, and we were both like Krampusnacht, we were both like struggling.
But Krampusnacht, 12 Nights of Krampus by Kate Wolford. She's actually the editor that puts all of these short stories that have to do with Krampus. I loved it. I thought it really added to it, considering we were also watching Krampus, and then we watched the horror Christmas story, which had a lot of Krampus in it. In fact, we're going to read some more Krampus stories.
By her.
Yes, by her.
I mean, collected by her.
Yeah,
so
collected.
It's our second collection that we're going to read this year. It's called He Sees You When He's Creepin'.
Yeah.
And it's more tales of Krampus.
Which we're excited about that.
Kate Wolford is also the editor of that.
So that would be my number 5. The Halloween Tree, number 4 by Ray Bradbury. Beautifully written book. Number 3, Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King. Number 2, My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. First book I've ever read by Grady Hendrix.
I recommended that.
Which The Halloween Tree is the first book I've ever read by Ray Bradbury as well. And number 4.
Well, I don't feel so bad for flubbing my sentence just now. Thank you. It's not just me. Number 4. The littlest things make us laugh. I don't understand why.
Have to recover. Usually we can cut.
Yeah, like when we tape it, we usually laugh at the beginning, or we usually don't have to cut in the middle.
No, not usually. So
I don't know why we laugh at the silliest things.
No. Number 1 is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I absolutely love that book by Joe Hill, which, if you don't know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son.
You crying is making me lose it.
I am crying, guys.
All right, so I will preface, my list does not include Nosferatu because she read it for her Halloween fun list for our Halloween marathon in 2020. I had just read it the month before, so I didn't really count it as part of our official marathon. I'm going to lose it if I don't keep it together. That's the definition of losing it. What am I saying? I'm going to lose it if I don't keep it together. That's the most obvious statement ever.
Exactly.
Anyway, all right. So here's my top 5 favorite reads that we read as a part of our marathons. Again, just to reiterate what I said at the beginning of the chat, I am not including any slasher books that I read as part of, like, I did this summer camp slasher video. That wasn't a part of our summer slasher marathon. We had not planned to read as a part of that marathon, and so I am not counting that as part of what we did. So I would have a totally different list, because some of the summer slasher or summer camp slasher books I read were incredible. But yeah, it wasn't for our marathon, so I didn't put it here. Number 5 favorite book for our marathons. Collected Easter Horror Shorts, edited by Kevin J. Kennedy.
Good.
It's 5 because there were some mistakes. There were some grammar issues. And for you, when I told you about the grammar, you're like, oh, the horror! Like, because you don't like grammar issues. It distracts you.
Not when I'm reading my books.
There was quite a few, but I was reading on Kindle. Who knows with the physical copy? It might be better if there is a physical copy. But I read on, like, my Kindle version. And I just liked some of the creativity in the stories. And it was great for Easter. And I did a lot of thematic Easter stuff and a lot of thematic St. Patty's stuff. And for some reason... I don't know. I was just all into the Easter vibe, and I was eating my Peeps, and I was like, hell yeah, Peeps. And Kat doesn't even like Peeps. Another thing she doesn't like that I love.
That would be like a horror movie if I saw you eating the Peeps.
You couldn't even watch me eating them. I did hold them up in one of our chats, but I didn't eat it.
But you weren't eating them.
No. All right, number 4 for me, Krampus Not. I don't know, however we are supposed to say it. Edited by Kate Wolford, as Kat shouted out. Number 3, as part of my readathon for Halloween that me and Kat both devised, this whole readathon, and it was really fun. I read The Halloweeners by J.H. Reynolds. Wonderful. It's part of the Monster Street series. Made me tear up. I listened to the audiobook version, actually, but it was wonderful. So heartfelt. It was great and thematic and perfect for Halloween. Number 2, Santa's Twin by Dean Koontz.
Yeah, so
I adored that picture book. It was darling. It was creative. It was unique. It was so good. I got to recommend it to you guys for Christmas time. You can't go wrong with it.
Yes.
It's very clever. And number 1... I'm counting it as part of our, it's not part of our readathon, but I feel like it was part of our marathon because our official Halloween 2021 marathon started on the first day of fall, and that's when we started reading this, Autumn Crow.
Oh, yes, that's true.
So Autumn Crow is my number 1. I was blown away by it. It's by Cameron Chaney, of course. I already mentioned his YouTube channel, Library Macabre. We are friends. I will, I guess, give a disclaimer, but I'm not ranking it number 1 because he's my friend or because I like his YouTube.
I should have done a top 10 because I should have added.
But I bet you didn't really consider it as part of your marathon.
Well, I didn't because I mean we did
I should have told you that
we did it for our first day of fall. But I loved Autumn Crow.
Me too.
So good.
I thought it was so well done. It was morose, but it still had the fall vibe all throughout. It was just perfect in every way for Halloween. You couldn't read something that's more thematic unless you picked up Bradbury. But the thing that Cameron has over the Bradbury stuff is that Autumn Crow is just so easy to digest, but it still had like a beauty to the language and the prose.
Yes.
But it was relatable and understandable, and I don't know. I just loved everything about it. It was a definite 5-star read. So yeah, lots of good stuff. I wish I could include Nosferatu too, but it wasn't part of my marathon technically.
That's true.
So, also book related, if you want to move on, or do you have something to
Well,
add?
I just didn't know if you wanted to check comments.
Oh, sure, let's check comments, but we've got more book stuff to comment on. There's a book called Tales to Ruin Christmas with a scary Santa on the front. I actually know what you're talking about, Dana. It's actually on my wish list on Christmas. I've got like a Christmas reads wish list. So I'm not going to read it this year, but I do know what you're talking about and referring to. I might read it in the future.
Also, Ben says Grady Hendrix has a fun podcast too.
I didn't realize.
Series of shows on vampires, which I think is good.
He also does, by the way, I would love to get in. He does these like. Well, he was doing virtual events. Now he's starting to do in-person events. But I hope he keeps doing virtual ones. He just talks about his books and about like horror stuff in general. I want to get in on some of his talks because Grady Hendrix, I just love him. I've read 4 things by him starting like late 2020. Most of it's been through this year, 2021, that I've read most of his stuff. But yeah, amazing. And Kat loved My Best Friend's Exorcism.
Yes, I'm going to have to read more stuff by Grady Hendrix. You guys are really giving us some awesome suggestions. We're going to have to go back and write down all of these suggestions because they sound great. Move up a little bit so that
Silent Night by R.L. Stine, great Christmas book. I believe that's a Fear Street book, right, Dana? That's going to be on my
on
my
your
TBR.
Yeah.
It's right here. Yeah, I have it right here. So the
good.
cover's amazing, Dana.
Let's see what else. Let's see. Great.
Someone shouted out Final Girls. I think Dana shouted out Final Girls, and we mentioned Final Girls. I know you guys came a little bit later. We mentioned Final Girls as some of our favorite one of our favorite movies. We both mentioned it as some of our favorite.
It was a new watch, and I loved it. It was perfect.
It was in our top lists. Okay.
She's got Hillhaven Creeps and The Halloween King. Okay.
Oh, I've never read those books.
Never heard of it. And
a book called We Bleed Red and Green. It's a short horror story collection. They have a Halloween one called We Bleed Black and Orange. Oh, that's cool.
Gonna be cool.
We'll have to check those out.
Can't wait for Autumn Crow High.
I know. We can't wait either.
Yeah, so we cannot.
He's in the middle of like working on it. He just was telling me that he's doing well with working on it. But
that's good.
He wishes it was coming along faster, he told me.
And then Ben has also read Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, which you read that for your slasher.
And I mentioned it in one of our chats.
Well,
we talked about
part of after your slasher, you did Final Girl.
I did, but we still mentioned it because we were talking about like what makes a slasher and like meta examination of slasher films and like the tropes. And so because we were mentioning all that, I didn't read. That's why I didn't include it in my favorite list because it wasn't part of our marathon. But we just discussed it because it had to do with tropes and I liked it too.
I loved it. Check it out, Ben, because I love Final Girl and I think that would be perfect to piggyback on it. And I want to read more Grady Hendrix.
And it's like slasher heavy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. All right.
Okay, we did something very exciting together because just to mention, when Kelsi and I first started, we were only going to collaborate on our Halloween fun list. That was like the intention. We just got the idea, hey, we're going to do this fun list together, and why not talk about it? And hey, why not, record the chat of us talking about it? Well, then we just continue doing it because we love it. We just love it so much. So that we also not only love to watch movies, but we also like to read books. So we decided, well, Kelsi really has always wanted to be in a book club. I've always wanted to be in a book club.
Well, always since I started reading like a year and a half ago.
Right. Well, I've always wanted to be in a book club. I just think the whole concept of being in a book club, people getting together once a month and talking about a book, that you mutually pick out or whatever, it would just be fun. And so we decided back like in April that we would do it. We had people vote and help us because we are really bad about decision making sometimes. And we were having a hard time what to call our book club because we wanted it to be horror centric.
Yes. My whole thing when I was pitching it to Kat, first I was like, I had the desire. I loved when Kat and I would have our marathon chats. And this is how it birthed. We were talking about the first book we talked about together was Nosferatu.
Yes.
Technically, it's a nod to Nosferatu, but I'm pronouncing it that way because it's spelled like letters and numbers. It's a license plate. That's why I'm saying it weird. But we talked about that at length, and I loved our discussion. I loved having someone to like just go back and forth about what I thought about the book with. And so that we did it a few times. Then I was like, I really, really want to start a book club to where we could pick out horror books. I want it to be all about horror, and I really, really want to do this, but I'm scared, like, can I do it by myself? I would love someone to bounce ideas off of in terms of running the club. And so I asked you, would you
And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I was like, would you be interested? And yeah, she said hell yeah. Then we started devising names, like she said, putting out polls.
It was hard to pick a name, so I was glad we did
not open it to the public, we should say. So this is not a public open book club as of right now. We've only kept it small because the way we meet.
Yes,
the way we meet is a video chat
because we have people from all over. But it's not that we wouldn't ever accept people to come in. It depends on if people show interest, and really want to participate because sometimes, and we've learned this, that some people are interested in joining a book club and then they join and then they never attend.
We have 14 people, I think, in the club, and only 5 at most have been on our chat. So that's a good example of that.
Exactly. So, but we've had a lot of fun with it, and we had a meet and greet in May. And then our first book was chosen, and it was Later by Stephen King. He had just published it, and that was our first one. Our second one was Video Night by Adam Caesar. Our third choice for July was Children of the Dark
by Jonathan Jans.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was our August? That's the one I was trying to figure out for the August.
I think I can find the list. Say more thoughts about the book club.
Okay. September was Deadly Education.
Yeah.
By Naomi Novik. October was The Halloween Tree. I mean, that one won unanimously. 100% everybody wanted that one.
Yeah,
Halloween
that
Tree.
Was something unique.
Yes, because we've never had everybody vote on the same book. But we did Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury for October, which was awesome. And then this month in November, we're reading The Reckoning. Now, it is by
Ruby Jean Jensen. And that's important because The Reckoning is a very popular title for books because John Grisham even has a book called I didn't
The
realize.
Reckoning. Yes. When I was looking on Goodreads to get my book, cover up there, they actually only had the hardcover and I think a Kindle. And so I ended up putting in.
It's because it's a vintage title and it's out of print. It was out of print. Now somebody has started to republish in new editions of her work, but there is no audiobook version, and it's just hard to find an old school copy as well.
Right.
So if you were looking for like a paperback, it's like her books are really, really, really sought after because the covers are very unique. Like, I have one...
Oh, I know what August was.
I have one right here with a doll hanging. That's her.
August was Mexican Gothic.
Oh, yes.
Yes, by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Duh.
Yeah, I can't believe you forgot that one. I know what your favorite is. Spoiler. Let's talk about quickly. We've had some great reads. We've had some okay reads. I mean, we've had a wide range, but that's the gamble.
I mean, actually, I've enjoyed most of them.
Me too.
Actually, all of them except for maybe one, which I haven't finished it. So I really can't be conclusive.
You still haven't finished
it. I still have not because we went right into our Halloween.
Oh, you're right. We got really busy.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
We had Autumn Crow starting to kick us off for fall, and then we did the readathon all October, and then I'm reading the November series. But I will finish because it is on my Goodreads, and I have to read 50 books by the end of the year.
So it'll count as one of your books.
Yes, and I'm almost there.
Well, talk about your favorite book and your
my
least favorite
book out of the whole entire marathon.
And this is for our book club picks.
For book club is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, with the Halloween Tree probably being the second.
Right.
But I loved Mexican Gothic. It was so good. My least favorite was A Deadly Education, the first book by Naomi Novik, and I say that with only reading half of it. So it may redeem itself by the end, but it's been the hardest book for me to read. As far as understanding it, and it's very complicated.
Hard to read. Luckily I listened to it on audio, or I would have never gotten through it. So my favorite book club read was The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. We're more on the same page about books, by the way, than movies, and we've come to that conclusion over many, many, many projects working together and collaborating together on. So my least favorite book, same as you, but I've read the whole thing. Listened to the whole thing. A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I just didn't like it, and it's really highly rated on Goodreads, ironically. And if you guys like it, all the more power to you. We don't want to offend you. Everyone has, their own opinions, and, books and movies and people, how they feel about them, it's all subjective.
Yes,
and that's totally fine. But I will say, overwhelmingly, most of our book club didn't like it. So it's more than just me and Kat. A lot of our book club did not like it. However, one of our members, she loves it. It's one of her favorite things. She really loved it. So we had a member who loved it and lots of members who disliked it.
And we had a couple that just couldn't finish it. That was part of it, is, we couldn't finish it because it was, I actually started it, stopped it, and had to go back and reread because it was confusing.
It doesn't feel like pure horror for sure. I would say that. There was a few books that we had that I wouldn't even describe as pure horror, like even later. I enjoyed it, but it was more like a thriller type of book to me. Even though the funny thing is, it kept saying within the book, this is a horror story.
Right.
Like Stephen King wrote that in the book like 5 times or 6 times, where the characters said that.
Try to convince everybody.
Yeah, it was kind of more thriller to me, but it was still loved it.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't really have an effect on my enjoyment, but I will just say that Deadly Education didn't feel like pure horror. It felt more fantasy based, which was fine. I like fantasy. I love Harry Potter, but I just didn't like it.
And one thing before we move on from books, I actually did do read books during our zombie marathon, which I didn't include. That's why I'm saying I should have done a top 10.
Well, that's your honorable mention.
But I forgot or whatever. But I had read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies by Jane Austen and Seth Grahame-Smith. And so this time around, I wanted to try to reread it, but I didn't have time to do that. So I read another book that's actually the sequel, but it's written by somebody else called Stephen Hawkinsmith. It's called Dawn of the Dreadfuls. So it kind of takes place, actually, it's the prequel. I'm sorry. It's the prequel to Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. But it was really good. It's by Quirk Books.
Quirk Books is a great publisher. Yeah, they're wonderful.
And so I read that. I also read Max Brooks's graphic novel, which is like individual stories in graphic novel form that come from his book, The Survival Guide, The Zombie Survival Guide. Kelsi and I gave some zombie survival tips when we had chatted. And then we also did a zombie book giveaway. Kelsi and I both, Kelsi had advertised hers on her YouTube channel, and then I had advertised mine on my blog. So we had 2 winners. So it was really fun being able to do that and then sending them out with some zombie survival tips. So when the apocalypse happens, they will truly be able to survive.
They'll be ready.
Yeah.
And you gave me a copy. You gifted me a copy.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Yes, because...
And she helped me send out my copy for my giveaway. So thank you extra for that as well, because you helped me with that. Like, you're the best. And that actually brings us to extra stuff. Since you kind of mentioned how we did a giveaway, and let's talk about some of the extras that were surrounding our marathons, because again, you would think we just did movies and books. No, we did more stuff. We sometimes in Halloween and Christmas cases, we did wearing thematic clothing, which I love doing. I love doing. My Christmas sweaters are a big thing. I didn't really get to wear them last year because they were hidden on me by my dad. This year, I'm going to wear my sweaters. I found them all. They were hidden away on accident. But yeah, we wore clothes, we made food, drinks, lots of thematic stuff surrounding our marathons, which I love that we started to incorporate this. And this really came from you, because for Halloween you had this whole big elaborate fun list, and I think you might have put a cocktail on there, and that kind of inspired me to bake. So let's talk a little bit about what are some of the extra things you did.
Well, I mean, I don't do as much clothing as you do. I do more accessories, like wearing little pins on my shirt, or
and that's
wearing
for Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah, wearing some earrings. I love wearing holiday socks. That's a lot of fun. This year, one of my goals when we went shopping was to try to find a Halloween shirt. I didn't actually buy one myself, but my husband did buy me a Halloween shirt. It was a creepy clown, and I was able to wear it for Halloween.
What a nice gift.
Evening when I handed out candy for trick-or-treaters. But, and I don't think I have anything Christmas related either, so I need to get me something Christmas related.
I already bought 3 Christmas shirts. I can't wait to reveal them to you. It's going to be one of our chats.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
And
they're movie themed.
Yeah, and then I went ahead and I don't do as much cooking as you do.
I
because
just
I don't
started
really like to cook very much. But there's one little easy treat that you can make for any holiday. And that is a sweet and salty pretzel treat. All you need is a Snyder's Snaps pretzel. It's like a little square. You get a Hershey Hug, and then you get M&Ms in whatever color the season is. So you could get the pastel M&Ms for Easter. I went ahead and got the red and green ones, and I did that for Christmas. I also made an autumn pumpkin cake this year, for my Halloween marathon. As far as drinks, I do like to make little special cocktails. I'm not a big drinker, but I think they're festive. And that's one of the things my friends and I that live locally to me, we would get together during COVID. We'd have our little bubble of friends that we would visit with, and we'd make a cocktail just so we could socialize a little bit. In Halloween 2020, I made the Witch Potion cocktail. Christmas 2020, I made the Grinch cocktail. And then for zombie awareness, I had a zombie apocalypse cocktail, which was very yummy.
I'd forgotten about that you did that.
Yeah, and I forgot to include any TV stats, but I wanted to say I did watch some TV shows during zombies. Mm-hmm. I did. I always watched The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, but I also watched 2 foreign shows. One was British called Dead Set, and then there was Batal, which I believe was Indian. Ooh. So they were very good, very creepy, and I enjoyed them. And then the final thing that I did, which for Christmas, was I wrote some lyrics for the 12 Days of Christmas.
It was so good.
I wrote the lyrics and put it to that tune of the 12 Days of Christmas and called it the 12 Days of Christmas Horror. Which
went along with her 12 horror-themed movies she watched for Christmas. So it was a whole theme.
Yes, I tried to use whatever it was that I was watching to put those into the lyrics.
It was
a great deal of fun. I worked with my voice coach. She helped me with it. We recorded it, and then I put it up on my blog. So it was fun. It was just something different to do. And I enjoyed that.
I loved that song. When you sent it to me, I was like, this is fabulous. It's so good. She's like, should I post it? I'm like, hell yeah, you should post it. Because you were debating it first.
I was debating.
No, it was great. I'm so glad you worked too hard on that. It was too clever, too really genius, honestly. The lyrics really went perfectly with your movie choices. It was really awesome.
Oh, that's sweet of you.
I can't promote that song enough. It was great. All right, so for my extra stuff, as Kat mentioned, I'm baking quite a lot now. I never used to, but it's a new thing. And I also cook regular food. I kind of help my boyfriend. He likes to cook savory stuff. I'm more of the baker, but I help him with the savory things. So we did all kinds of baking and cooking for a lot of different marathons that you and I did. For instance, for our holiday marathon, we actually made corned beef and cabbage for St. Patty's Day.
Which was
I remember
awesome.
we also had thematic drinks. Like I drank
And
Bailey's.
you did concerts.
Yeah, we watched live stream concerts. So that was kind of another thing we did. The Dropkick Murphys, which are a Celtic punk band. I love them. And also Flogging Molly, same type of band. We watched, both of them had live streams, and we watched them on that day.
Right.
And we watched Leprechaun that day. It was a great day. It was one of my favorite days of the year. Also, it was the day I started my new job, funnily enough. So it was a great day because like my career kind of got like a oomph because it's better paying and like really cool, flexible work from home.
Yeah.
It was a good day. Also, like I said, we made the corned beef and cabbage, but we also drank some thematic drinks. Like I had some Bailey's, which is Irish cream.
Mm-hmm.
We also had some Jameson. So I kind of mixed liqueur or liquors there because obviously Jameson's like a hard liquor. So drank that, which is Irish. It's Irish whiskey. So yeah, like that was cool for St. Patty's Day. Easter, like I said, Peeps, like candy. Like I had a lot of candy and Peeps. I was like, yeah. And that's the only good part about Rotten Tales. I was eating candy and Peeps while watching it. Otherwise, it was a terrible experience, except for all that. But yeah, for Christmas, I mean, I made eggnog bread pudding. For Halloween last year, I made a pumpkin cake from scratch, including the icing was from scratch. Like, it wasn't from a box in terms of the cake, and I was really proud of how it came out. I know I made more than that. And this year...
gingerbread men.
Oh, the gingerbread man. We kind of mentioned them earlier in this chat. They looked like dead guys. Like, one had, like, his arms and legs cut off. One had his head cut off. And I iced them.
Yes, you
to
did.
where it was bloody and they had faces, and it was really hard. I messed up my kitchen.
You also have beer. You and I had pumpkin flavored tea.
Yeah, for this Halloween, I had pumpkin beer. I had Oktoberfest beer, which I'm a huge fan of. It's basically one of my favorite types of beer, period. It's so good. I always look forward to this time of year for Oktoberfest beer. I say always. I've really only started to like beer like for 2 years. But since I started liking beer and found out I liked Oktoberfest, I look forward to when it comes out. And like you said, the tea has been a big thing with me this past year.
Yeah, you see, I had coffee. I had 2 different types of coffee. I had the one when I was vlogging my special fall day, and then I had a pumpkin pecan one that I found by Community Coffee. So,
that sounds
and I
good.
also got a praline pecan one too, which is not necessarily fall, but
also, when we went shopping for our shopping vlog, which we only have done one shopping vlog, but that was something different than just talking about movies, we bought fall candles.
Yeah.
So that was another thematic thing that we did.
And
that was
hand
extra.
soap.
Oh yeah, and I'm still using mine.
Yeah.
It smells so good.
Yeah, and that was another thing too, was the decorations. We bought mugs.
Yeah.
Halloween mugs. I got a mat that put outside. I bought some little pumpkins with my initial and my husband's initial. I found some cute little, when we didn't shop, but before I shopped, I got some fall things. I got these cute little gnomes. I mean, it's been so fun to be able to decorate. I couldn't decorate as much as I wanted to because of Hurricane Ida. It's affected my home.
Yeah.
I had a tree fall on my son's room. And because of that, his contents of his room are spread all throughout the house. So anyway, hopefully when that all gets back together, which I would love it to be before Christmas, but we haven't gotten that far yet.
Well, it was pretty devastating to your
It
house.
is.
So
And everybody's in the same boat. So the biggest thing is for us to be able to get a new roof put on. Once that happens, then we can restore his room. I am keeping my fingers crossed and praying that he'll be back in the house before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Before Christmas would be awesome, but, definitely before 2022. That would be great. And so as long as we don't have any other hurricanes or anything to disrupt us, I hope that I can get some more decorations and decorate next year, just more than my little night stand next to my bed in my room, I'll be able to do more with that.
That's a good goal to have. I mean, let's talk about goals since you kind of had a perfect segue there. Any future things that you want to do for this marathon? And I will say, so some of the things we'll be continuing to do the same way. So we're, of course, going to keep doing our Halloween, or at least I want to. I hope you want to, too.
Definitely.
Keep doing our Halloween-themed marathons every year.
Christmas.
Starting on September 22nd for the first day of fall, going all the way through Halloween. Christmas. I want to keep doing it, especially because you're not a big Christmas person. It helps you enjoy Christmas even more, I think.
It actually did. Having us do a Christmas fun list and watching the movies and reading the books actually really gave me a happiness boost and made me enjoy the Christmas season a lot more.
Yeah.
Than in the past. I'd like to do another zombie marathon.
I have planned ahead for a zombie marathon because I've been looking, you guys might know if you've been longtime viewers of my channel, I'm into vintage horror and I like to go out and look for old vintage horror paperbacks. And so I've been looking for anything zombie related or like, you know, undead related. And I found a few titles that are zombie themed. Plus I've got the book you gave me, the Max book. So yeah, I'm set for reading at least. Movies I'd have to look more. I might have to take some from your list from this past year. Right. But yeah, I'm totally thinking we'll do a zombie again. Also, so we did the holidays marathon, which, like as we said earlier, was surrounding different holidays. But we didn't watch the movies around the holidays except for Easter and for St. Patty's Day. Otherwise, it was like we were watching New Year's in whatever month that was randomly. Right. And so I didn't like that. So I think what we're going to do is not do a holidays marathon, but do a halfway to Halloween marathon.
Right. And then if we wanted to, you know, like Dana was talking about, she does the Leprechauns around St. Patrick's Day. If we want to watch a horror movie related to the current holiday,
we can, around then.
You know, and if we talk about it and plan it ahead of time, because you and I like to plan.
Yeah.
You know, if I say, hey, I'm planning on watching this movie, you know, for Easter, what do you think about it? We could always do it, you know,
exactly.
at that time.
And it would be a shorter chat. Like, so our wrap-up would be short because it would just be a little bit.
But one of my favorite things that we're planning to do next year in 2022.
Yes. We already revealed this, but still, not everyone's heard about it. Our Year with King.
Our Year with King.
Yeah.
I did a Summer of Poe, and it was fabulous, and I read a lot of Edgar Allan Poe. Didn't read everything because he has so much. But I thoroughly enjoyed that. So Kelsi and I, she did a compare of the book and movie and a TV show with The Stand.
It was a book and 2 TV show adaptations. Yes. I don't think there's a movie, but yeah, the 90s miniseries kind of is movie-like. It's not that long. Okay. But yes, I love doing that comparison.
You did, and then we, you know, did a comparison of Cycle of the Werewolf with Silver Bullet, which was Stephen King, and we really enjoyed that conversation. So we just thought, wouldn't it be nice? Well, and part of this was prompted because I had to shelve some of my short stories from Night Shift by Stephen King and his book Thinner in our readathon, and had to double dip due to the fact that I was in a play.
So yeah, you couldn't get to all of your stories.
I couldn't get to everything.
So you didn't read anything by King.
I didn't read anything except Cycle of the Werewolf. That was the only thing that I had read. And so I was a little bummed out about that. And Kelsey's like, well, you'll get to it, you know, maybe next year. And then we just decided to have this brainchild kind of like at the same time. It's like,
Kat really sparked it. You know? Kat was like, A Year with King. Like,
yes. So our goal is for us to pick a book or a story. And depending on if we pick a short story, we might read more than one short story in that month. But to read something written by King and then watch the movie or TV adaptation of it, and then have a chat to talk about it.
So that's at least 12 more chats, because it's once a month. Yes. And that's starting in January 2022. We don't have the official list picked out yet, but I think we're going to do like a reveal before the first of the year.
We definitely will, because any of you out there that love Stephen King and want to join us, we would love, you know, for you to do that, because then we could have a conversation with you guys too.
Yeah, it could be a big whole live chat every month that's around a specific thing, and it's almost like people could read along if they want and watch and then be prepared for the chat and give their opinions. Maybe even, it doesn't always have to be live, but they can give their opinion in the comments if it's uploaded, or if we ever do any live. That'd be fun. And before we move on to like more things, because we're about to wrap up here, Ben says a letterboxd list of Thanksgiving horror. It's about 40 movies long. He's got this list.
That's cool.
Wow, I didn't know there was even 40 possible out there.
So we need to find Ben on Letterboxd.
We do, Ben. Please drop your Letterboxd if you can. Your name.
And then he says he's got a Christmas horror movie list that's over 300 movies long.
Oh, wow. See, I'm not struggling for Christmas right now because I've got a big list that I'm going to have to narrow down. But,
actually,
I always want for the future.
I'd like to see Ben's Christmas list because I haven't started mine yet.
Yeah.
You know, that would be great. So if you could let us know and you wouldn't mind us following you on Letterboxd, then that would be great. We could check out your list. And also, I want to mention Ashley did the same thing with you. She read Deadly Education not read it, but she listened to it on audiobook. Because it was a hard read for her too.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one then, because like I really honestly think I wouldn't have finished it like you if I didn't have the audiobook. That really helped, because sometimes it was just like kind of confusing. I don't know, because of the language, because it was like a whole new universe, it was difficult. So I'm glad I'm not alone in this.
Yeah, I'm glad, and I am going to finish it. I am going to finish reading it, but I just, I need to have like calm and, not have anything else press in to where I can have a couple of days without anything else, and then I'll try to finish it, because truly I think you have to concentrate.
You do.
And it has a really great reception to it, because obviously this is book 1. Book 2, I think, has already been published.
Yeah, Stephanie, one of our members for our book club, has already started reading it, because she was the big fan of it. So I have to look on our Goodreads to see if she maybe rated it already, because I know she was a good way into it last time I checked, so I'll have to look again. But yeah, she's already reading the second one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm intrigued enough to go forward or not, but
I'm not.
Ashley, I don't know if you want to go forward for the second book, and then obviously it's going to be a trilogy, I heard, so
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I was torn.
Well, before we wrap up, I just want to mention one. We did have a couple of snafus.
Yeah, and let's talk about snafus, trends we may have noticed. Yeah, let's talk about some of these.
Our biggest snafu was when we were recording our Rotten Tail chat. So you would think this would be something that would happen like the first time we had a chat, or maybe even the second time, but no.
It was a billion chats in.
Yeah, a billion chats in. Kelsi and I actually talked for 40 minutes about Rotten Tail.
Actually, about multiple movies.
Yes, when we discovered that Kelsi didn't hit record.
It was one of the worst moments. We did laugh about it.
We did.
But I was like, I can't believe this. We have to redo, like, this whole chat. And I thought it was going so well.
Right.
And so in the middle, like, Kat's saying something, we're about to move on to, like, the next movie, and I'm like, oh, shit. I was like, Kat, I didn't record.
Well, we've also had, both of us have dogs, and Jackson has visited us in the middle of chats.
He's been snoring. I don't know if you guys have heard, but he has snored. He's in the room with us. But that's a trend I've noticed.
Yeah.
Jackson has to make an appearance. Sometimes he doesn't even start to come into the room until I start recording, like he knows.
Right.
He wants his, time in the spotlight.
And then my dogs like to come into my small room where I record our chats. And then the little dog, Tootie, gets mad at Sophie, who's older, and
bigger.
Much bigger. Sophie's a German Shepherd, and she's almost 14, and they kind of like, he tussles with her, and growls at her and all that. In fact, I want to say
it happened on the chat.
Yes, Rotten Tail was the one when it happened, so I was like, whew, thank God they're not going to hear that.
Yeah. You were like thinking it was a good thing they don't hear that, but there was one where they pushed the door open, and you were like pushing it closed.
Yes, they do. They try to come in, and all of a sudden the door, is just like.
It's more scary when Jackson tries to he gets so close where I think he's gonna undo my Ethernet cable when I'm live streaming. I'm like, no, or when I'm zooming, even with Kat, because that would totally mess up our Zoom.
Right. Yeah.
And so, which actually, another thing that happened is you disconnected in the middle of a chat, and I didn't think it was gonna save.
Oh, that's right.
Or no, my computer shut off.
Your computer shut off, and then also my Ethernet cable broke. Somehow, remember that when I was having trouble with the internet?
It was like 30 minutes before you could connect.
And then I had to go find another Ethernet cable and hook it up because somehow it broke.
And speaking of like hardships, the hurricane,
yes.
Kat went through great lengths. We wanted to do a whole readathon TBR announcement for our Halloween readathon, and we wanted to do it before October because we wanted people to be able to participate and plan their own TBRs and like know about our prompts. So.
I didn't have electricity for 10 days.
Yes.
We had to use a generator, and we could only use the generator sparingly, and that was for like air conditioning and refrigerator. And we had no internet, hardly any phone service. So I drove over to Books A Million in Hammond and sat in the parking lot.
You crashed in their parking lot.
Yes, I sat in the parking lot, and I was on my phone, and we did our whole TBR list for our readathon.
And I was actually at a hotel, so Paul and we had stuck it out for no electricity for at least 8 days. Then his friends were like, you can come stay over with us, and we had to go to Florida anyway for Paul's work, and like a couple of days after that. So in the meantime, we went there to his friend's house before he had to work, and then we traveled somewhere else for his work. Mm-hmm. While we were there for his work, that's when we chatted in the hotel. Yeah. So, yeah, she was in a parking lot, I was at a hotel. Then we've also filmed here in the lair, then on Zoom, and yeah, it's all been fun.
Yeah.
And thank you for going to the parking lot. So yeah, the trends too, like I kind of mentioned this a little bit, so it's kind of a callback to the beginning of this chat, but we like lists and plans.
Yes.
And I think that's why these marathons have taken off with us, because it helps us get things accomplished, but also just makes everything more fun.
Yes.
When you have a plan and when something's around a theme, I think it just gives it something extra.
I do too. I mean, it's just fun to have a plan, watch some movies, and to be able to talk about these movies with somebody that you really, really adore.
Oh,
so,
I adore you
that's
too.
what is so fun
I
about
love
it.
You. The mic's gonna block me again. I'm so glad, and thank you for coming all the way over here to do these live chats too. Fun. It's special. I love our
being
live
in
chats.
The lair. But before we finish, let's look at a couple more comments. Ben, thank you so much for your letterbox list name.
Ashley said she probably wouldn't read the second book for Deadly Education.
Not that she said I didn't dislike it, but it's just not a book series for me.
I kind of feel the same
and
way.
I think that's going to be the consensus for us as well. So
it's just an investment. It's kind of hard to read. It's like, I don't know. You know, I'd rather read just horror books, like straight horror.
Yeah.
There's a lot I want to get to. So that's why it's like sometimes I don't want to invest in the things that I'm like lukewarm about, you know?
Yeah.
I will say, so not to jump backwards, but another trend I noticed is that you got to be careful of top 10 or top lists.
Yes.
Some of our biggest duds came from top lists, like top Easter horror movies. Rotten Tail was on a list. I know that Saint was on some top Christmas horror lists, and you
also
didn't like it.
Too, we had some that we didn't consider slashers, and they were on lists that they suggested as slashers. So,
but I'm not bashing all lists, because also we found Train to Busan from a best horror list.
Yes,
I did, and then you got it from my list. But
I think lists are helpful, but I think when they use the word best, sometimes, you know, again, we got to keep in mind it's subjective. That is the best for them. You know,
just like our list, like our rankings was the best for us. It doesn't mean it might be for you guys. True. That's definitely exemplified with the Christmas Evil ranking for me versus you.
Yes,
so
true.
It's just subjective, and I think that's fun though. That's what makes things interesting. If we all agreed on everything, it would kind of be boring. So whatever. I like it. I like it personally. So that was our trends and our observations and our hardships and our favorite things and our least favorite things. I'm so happy. And before we close out, I do want to kind of flip through our thumbnails real quick. And while I do that, any closing thoughts, Kat, on anything you want to say?
Well, I just want to say that I think our first year of collaborating on content has been an awesome year. And I'm looking forward to another awesome year, and coming back here next year and talking about everything we accomplished for year 2.
I can't wait. It's going to be an ongoing thing. I'm so glad you're willing to keep going, because it really, honestly, was one of the biggest highlights of the year for me. We're doing these marathons. It kind of gave me something to look forward to. And again, not to reiterate it, but it gave me a plan, and I just love talking with you. And before this, I will shout out, Kat and I didn't get to see each other or talk very much, but I had started using Facebook again, and that's kind of what
prompted us to...
Yeah, because we started to talk back and forth on Facebook, and then we kind of reconnected again. Not that we were, like, out of touch, it's just that we hadn't seen each other or, like, one-on-one talked in a long time. So I think it's really deepened, like, extremely deepened our friendship, which is... I think the biggest pro that came out of all of this. That's honestly, like, to be honest, my favorite thing is that, like, you're an invaluable friend to me now, and I love you so much. So thank you so much, Kat.
And the feeling is mutual.
Thank you. So this is the last one here. This is one of our recent thumbnails. So we did a readathon wrap-up, but like I said, we've been plugging it all chat long. What you can look forward to next is our movie wrap-up part 1 for our Halloween movie marathon. And that was a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff that is funny in that one, too. And again, also coming up, I can't wait to release the best of, like, the little compilation of all of our best clips.
Oh, yes. Please be on the lookout. Look out for that.
Kat was crying before I showed her what I had so far, and I'm not done. So.
Yes, because it was just so fun going back and watching. It's not like I can't watch these at any time, but and I've watched them before.
I picked the funniest parts and put them back to back.
Oh, it's going to be so good. So I can't wait for that. But I really, and I love... This is another thing that I love about it, is doing our live chats.
Me too.
You know, I mean, it's fun to be able to do our Zoom chats, but our live chats
Yeah, interacting with you guys. So thank you so much for being here.
We really appreciate you sticking with us.
It's been freaking 2 hours and 49 minutes in Kelsi and Kat fashion, because we started our first chat like almost 2.5 hours long. Of course, our anniversary chat has to be insanely long too.
Of course.
It wouldn't be us if it wasn't.
Someone would be wrong.
I knew it would be long. I wasn't worried. I like it. So thank you so much if you guys have watched it on and off.
One last comment before we go.
She's reading Endless Night. I just read it. Oh, she's doing my 90s readathon. Thank you, Ashley.
Yay!
Oh, yes. Thank you, Ashley. I didn't realize you were also reading the same book as me. Just started it today. She's hooked. She said thank you for the recommendation. I'm so happy that you like it. It was balls to the wall. I don't know if you'd like it. There's a lot of weird like stuff in it. It's not like greatly written, but it's like thrilling. It's hard to explain it. Lehman's a guy you either love or hate, I think. You're not going to be lukewarm about him. That's who wrote it, Richard Lehman. But yeah, I loved it. So I'm so glad you are liking it too, Ashley. And thank you so much for watching. And thank you all for watching, whether it's live or after the fact. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
And like every chat, recently, actually, we started the chat. My YouTube name wasn't even Slime and Slashers. It was Super Kicking It with Kelsi, which is my old wrestling name. Then I was starting to call my stuff Kelsi Explains It All, which is my name on my blog. And I was trying to, like, not officially call things that. But now I'm Slime and Slashers, and since I've been Slime and Slashers, we've been signing off a certain way. And what we say is, well, for this time, that's it for us. Till next time, what can they do?
Keep on killing it.
Keep on killing it, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. I'm going to keep saying bye until I put up my goodbye graphic, which I never have ready. But anyway, this is really goodbye. Bye.
Bye.